Hello and welcome to the Easy Allies podcast. I'll be your moderator, Brandon Jones. Joining me this week, panelists Michael Huber.
Hello.
Michael Damiani.
Yo.
My console unboxing co-moderator, Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
Distinguished guests, we are here to talk about some of the biggest news in the world of video games. A happy Halloween to everybody this weekend. But before we do that, we got to correct all of the mistakes we made last week. Daniel Bloodworth, begin corrections music, please. Boop. I do this every single time. I apologize, Huber. I will commit it to memory, just like the date of when the NPDs come out. It's just Nintendo that doesn't do digital sales for the NPDs. Everybody else does. Crash Bandicoot 4 came out on October 2nd, and the NPD for September covers sales until October 4th, since the last week of September ended on October 4th, so Crash 4 sales were for its first weekend, which is why it didn't show up. We were surprised, or where it did. So take all that with a grain of salt every time we do NPDs, and I will commit that to memory next time we do it. I goofed on three things. One, timestamps didn't update last week in the Sunday episode. Apologies for that. The team scores are Penguins 15, Scorpions 12. Penguins got one more point. That was from Kevboard Arts, who watches our bets very closely, closer than anyone, including myself or anyone on this podcast. And number three, I referenced, I said they're going to be making some games down there in reference to Rockstar Dundee. But if you think about the way the Earth is, down there could mean anything. Down there, over there, down at the Piggly Wiggly. It's just...
No.
There's only one
saying
question
down
where
there
that
and
works.
speaking with an Australian accent.
There's
I don't
only
know if
one
that...
spot on Earth where that works, Jones. And
I don't
it's the
know.
North Pole.
And
On
correct.
the North Pole, you can say any step you take, any direction, is down or south.
Yeah, well.
Other than that, it doesn't work.
Didn't this North Pole move? Things are in flux right now, okay?
It's
And
2020,
corrections
maybe.
music. And, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
And corrections.
Seriously, is it still there?
Yeah, did anyone check yet?
There's a lot of excitement happening right now because next-gen consoles are coming out. The holidays are coming up. There's a lot of reasons to be happy, but even so, I want to look at some of the biggest silver linings in games, one specifically that I really loved this month. Thank you from our patrons providing these. From Chris Brown. All the way back in February 2019, Respawn dropped Apex Legends on the world seemingly out of nowhere. What you might not have known was that the game was launched several hours late. Does anyone know this? Anyone on this podcast know this? As it turns out, the lead programmer on the game, John Shearing, was unable to be there because he was in court at the time they had planned to launch. Knowing how important he was to the team and the game, Respawn decided to push the launch time back by several hours so that he could be there. Why was he needed in court? He was finalizing his daughter's adoption. It was an amazing morning for me and my family, he shared on Twitter. That's why Apex launched at this strange time, because Respawn prioritized my family first. A wonderful thought maybe going into some of the headlines tonight. Maybe companies have kind of more stringent schedules that they have to keep. We will see. We will talk about that. But it's time to talk about next gen. This might not be a huge topic, but gosh darn it, it's something that we need to talk about because when we recorded last week's episode, there was no unboxing of consoles. There was no consoles being in places where people were checking stuff out, so people got early glimpses. But as of today, Easy Allies is in possession of both, at least one, Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. Bled, you've been going nuts with your coverage. You can check out our unboxing videos if you have not seen those yet. Kudos to you and Ian and everybody that's been in the office producing all of that content. But specifically Huber and Damiani, have either of you touched either of these consoles?
Nope.
Yeah, the PS5.
How does it feel?
Damiani was there.
Damiani, how does it feel?
Nice.
Well, the controller. I actually didn't touch the system whatsoever, like physically. No, I didn't touch the system.
Is that a safety
physically,
precaution?
But,
Because we did go to the
touched it.
studio to do this, so I understand.
But I mean, I played with the DualSense, and yeah, I thought it felt great. Honestly, it was probably my favorite feeling PlayStation controller to date.
Wow.
Nice.
So not just the haptic stuff, not just the adaptive technology that they've added to it, but actually just the ergonomics of the controller.
Yeah, like
that DualShock 4.
Love the DualShock.
Just the way it feels in my hands when I grip it, like the grips. They did a really good job with that. So, I really dig it so far.
Do you get nervous about controllers, Huber? How they're going to feel for next gen? You're stuck with these things for years.
Definitely. I remember though PS3 remodeled it. Remember the 6-axis before the DualShock?
Right.
So yeah, it's a big deal because this is your controller for, many years until you get new ones or they remodel them or revise them or whatever. So yeah, it's a big deal, but I've heard nothing but really good things so far about the DualSense, so I'm pumped on that.
Daniel Bloodworth did touch the console. How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about like where the line is of what I can say and what I can't say. I guess, yeah, putting the base on is a little weird. I'll say that either way that you go about it, it's a bit more secure if you stand it up vertically. If you put it horizontally, it feels a little like it's sort of floppy underneath it there. But yeah, the console itself, it's a big boy. They're both kind of big boys in their own way. Like the Series X is smaller, but it's still pretty heavy feeling. So it just feels like a dense, like it's like, like a piece of steel or something, like an ingot, the Xbox ingot.
An ingot.
Nice. That's a good console name.
I just imagine you slotting that in Minecraft. It's like, I got a Series X, clunk. I can forge this thing now. But yeah, for some people they say, whatever, I'm putting this this console on my shelf. I'm not going to think about it later. But for us, we're going to be moving stuff. Especially if you're one of the only people in your friend group or on a block that has this console, you might be seeing yourself traveling with this. So this type of system, if they release a slim version of the PlayStation, they can't call it a slim because it's still going to be like bigger than most consoles that we've had in the past. Do you think we'll get
call it a slim? But
yeah,
I don't know if it was ever like an official name on any of them, anyways.
Do you see them desperately trying to, just like we've speculated long about a new upgraded, more powerful Switch, do you think a smaller PS5 is something that they see in their future, something they know consumers might want?
Oh yeah, most likely. Yeah, it's something that they'll work on, and we'll see how it pans out. Because it's interesting how each generation they can be a bit different, because you had something. You look at something like the PlayStation 4 Pro, and that is that's an upgrade, right? That's a huge deal. But then you look at like the PlayStation 3, and it was just like constantly making it smaller and cheaper and like less features, right? They took out a bunch of USB ports, and then they made this weird slidey cover over the disk drive.
Oh my gosh, the slidey cover.
Yeah. And so you never really know. I think that the PS1 was pretty cool. The really tiny PlayStation, the first one.
Love that one.
And I ended up not getting a PlayStation 2 until that one had a slim.
Love that slim.
And that is a great little slim, for sure. But same kind of thing. Where there's a little pop open disc cover. So since they're already launching with two versions, the digital and the disc version, I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious where the corner cutting will be, because the size of the thing is obviously made for heat, so they would need to have a different way of mitigating that heat.
And we'll get into details when we talk about finances a little bit later in the podcast. But Hubert, both Microsoft and Sony have said there's no doubt we're losing money on the system. That's not what our 2021 or that's not what our next fiscal quarters are going to look like. But the investment is going to be worth it. Before we move on, Blood, so you have checked out both these consoles. We do have unboxing videos that we do think you should check out because you did get into this in great detail. But for both these systems, did anything stand out as surprising? Was there anything just actually physically looking at the packaging or the UI or anything about using either of these systems that you were like, interesting decision. Let's see how that plays out.
The packaging was surprising, I think, a little bit on both of them, because on PlayStation's side, they made a big deal of everything being more recyclable friendly. And I think what maybe that comes down to is that I could be wrong on this, but most of the boxes they have this sleeve approach. So they have a sleeve with all of the pictures and stuff on the outside of an actual cardboard box. And I think that maybe putting color and printing on cardboard does make it harder to recycle. It's easier to recycle just plain white cardboard. So it was a little interesting with that, which is sliding these sleeves off of them and then actually getting into the boxes. And then on the Xbox side, that thing is just it's like you got a really you took something and you got it gift wrap it like a boutique. They really made it fancy to open that thing up. And yeah, that's not something I was expecting. Like it had a little wrapper around it and everything.
The Premier
and,
service. Well, isn't that
Yeah.
Microsoft in this gen? You know what I mean? They can't get the big exclusives, so they just want to make the consumers happy. You know, they want you to think, that's coming to Game Pass? Well, I already have Game Pass. Thank you, Microsoft. Makes sense. It follows along. But Huber, you're like me. We haven't touched either of these things. We're still waiting, you know, to join that next gen, the fervor to play these games, to touch these controllers. Do you feel like the conversation's changed at all? Where are we at now with next gen? Where a couple days ago, you know, people had these consoles yet, but they couldn't really say anything. The embargo lifts, you know, for Sony one day, Xbox the next day. People are like, "Hey, I'm checking these out. We're finding about cool things." Are people happier about next gen now? Is it about the same?
Feels about the same. Feels like the calm before the storm right now. You know, the unboxing.
Right now, it's a storm before the storm for me.
Yeah,
Figuring
for
out
you
how
for
the
sure.
heck do I do all this?
Yeah, it just feels like the only thing you can really, the only thing I'm really thinking about is the size of these things. You know, before they're in my hands, before people can boot these up and get to the good stuff, which is how well the games run, how fast they run, how just nice and smooth and easy everything is. Just thinking about where the hell I'm gonna put this, and yeah, that's where my mind is at right now. You know, you were talking about earlier, just like moving it from room to room, like capturing, and just like, you know, my living room is pretty contained, so this thing is, it's been like weighing on me. Just like, where am I gonna put this? You know,
Are you
blood
going to be
concerned me.
intimidated? You know, when that thing is you know, powering up its fan and this giant blue light is illuminating all over your living room.
Yeah.
Like, are you just gonna is it gonna take a while to adjust?
Yeah, you know, I get freaked out. You know, I wipe my things with diapers. You know, my Vita is many years old and still has no fingerprints on it because I'm just so careful with my equipment. So I'm just like nervously anxious right now, I think. That's where I'm at.
Fair.
That's my next gen watch. Anxiety.
I've just been trying to figure out what is like the main thing, because there's just like a ton of small details. That's like the biggest thing about unboxing is just all that minutia. But I'm trying to figure out what are like the big things that they're talking about for each of these systems. And Damiani, for PS5, it seems like the controller is just, you know, like almost universal. Just everybody's like, oh man, when that adaptive PS5 controller fights back, it changes things. I don't know if you can necessarily speak to that in detail, but like, are you hearing that too? Do you get a sense that
Controller
that's
is
like
one of the few things that we can't speak to detail.
one of the main things?
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, it's not just, it doesn't feel like an embargo, you know, hold. It feels like people have been like, I've been dying to tell you that it really is a difference. Granted, that incites a lot of talk where people are like, it's the same thing as VR. It doesn't mean anything to me if I don't have the thing in my hands. But what do you think, Damiani, about this?
Yeah, well,
for,
I mean,
for
the
platformers
first-
too, a new controller.
Yeah, well, the adaptive triggers, how they were working as well as they did. That was the amount of resistance that they put on that they could push back. But also, Sony, I think they said today that they're also going to allow people to adjust that. So for accessibility, because they know certain people will not be able to just push down that hard. So they're like, okay, we understand that that's not going to work for everybody. So the fact that they're confident they can do that, but it also by default feels pretty good. I was like, wow, this is taking a little bit of effort to do. I didn't know a controller, you know, could do this without I was worried I was gonna break it or something. It's just so stiff, and I was like, okay, yeah, like Blood's analogy of like the lighter thing was like perfect for that we used in our impressions video. But like just like the tilting and stuff, at least in we can talk about that in Astrobot, the level we played. The fact that it works so well that I didn't have to think about it. I forgot very quickly I was even using any form of like motion to control a character. I was like, I'm just using a controller. It feels natural. It felt really good, and that was probably the most surprising thing. Is it works so well? Doesn't make you aware of the things you're doing. So that's a pretty good sign, honestly.
Bloodworth, the biggest thing for me that seems to be coming out of the Xbox camp is backwards compatibility and just next gen up-res. Like there seems just like so much talk now about like what these games meant in their own gen, plus, you know, versus last gen versus the new gen, and just what, you know, apparently you can get to this later in the podcast as well, but they announced that anything that worked on Xbox One now works on Xbox Series X. Or do you concur that seems to be one of the major positives coming out of Microsoft, just in terms of these early impressions?
I can concur that that's the news story that's going around. I can't say anything other than what's in the unboxing in terms of my own experience with
We're
the
here
machine.
Fine, only referencing news stories in the Easy Allies
Well, Jones,
podcast.
too, the PlayStation was hitting back on that as well, because we heard about faster load times for Last of Us on PS4 randomly, 70% faster, and God of War having a performance mode, like targeting 60 frames. So up until a couple weeks ago, I was really in the dark about PS5's backwards compatibility, but right now I'm feeling really good about it, really confident. Just all the games that they said will work in the disc version. So I think they're kind of trying to match, because Microsoft's been crushing that front, just dominating. So it's been interesting now as we get closer for Sony to come out with two of their biggest games ever, Last of Us and God of War, and focusing on those.
Well, and I know you're going to bring it up later, but the whole PlayStation Plus collection, like all those PS4 games that you're just going to be able to download, whether you bought them before or not, if you're a PlayStation Plus member.
And their final list was 20 games?
Wow.
20 games, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty beefy.
And they're all, it's just Bloodborne, Uncharted. Like, they're all good stuff. It seems like I'm seeing a lot of people lament not being able to check out Demon's Souls. I'm seeing a lot of PC fans that are like, I wanted to get that graphics card, so I'm not going to get, the PlayStation right away, and I'm not going to play it, but I got so many other things to check out. Xbox owners saying the same thing. Like, I'm going to have so much on Game Pass. There's going to be so much that I'm going to be curious to see if it's up-res. So it's interesting to have a really black and white situation with a lot of PlayStation owners where they're like, I get Miles Morales or I don't. Whereas a lot of Xbox people are like, do I get an S? Do I get an X? Do I still play this on Xbox One? Should I play it on PC? A lot more nuance to their decision-making, whereas Sony's like, buy it. But then it's just, this has been a slowly ramping up conversation. I was just curious specifically how that changed this week, because some of you touched it, man. And that's something that, it's literally, I could, this podcast is usually about an hour and a half long. I could get my car right now, still be recording. By the end of this podcast, I could get back. I could drive to the office and touch it right now. But as Blood insinuated, we're doing a lot of stuff. We're very busy with various projects here at the Easy Ally, so I will get to it. It is in the calendar when I am actually physically going to touch both of those systems. Smell them too, of course. This week, Cyberpunk 2077 was delayed 21 days to December 10th.
Shocking.
Yeah.
It's weird, Huber.
I'm shocked.
It's a
I don't know
weird
about shocking, but weird for me, yeah.
delay.
I am shocked.
Why are you shocked?
You don't, to go gold and then have 2 delays, that's...
CD Projekt Red says passing certification or going gold means the game is ready, can be completed, and has all the content in it. But it doesn't mean we stop working on it and raising the quality bar. Why tell us it goes gold then? I mean, that way.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah. I just didn't expect it, even with all the delays for the game. The narrative they were writing about not crunching and then going gold and having to go back on that. Like, there's been so much. I thought, okay, now it's finally locked in. They came out. They were ahead of it. They addressed it head on. So it's just very, very surprising.
Blood, my excitement for Cyberpunk 2077 has never wavered. It's never dropped. It's only gone up, 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 up this whole time. But damn, Blood, the finishing this game is one of the premier dramas of 2020. Just in terms of game development, in terms of actually trying to pull off whatever you're trying to pull off in 2020 and actually making it happen. I thought consoles were going to get delayed more than this one game,
It would be so 2020 for Cyberpunk to get pushed to 2021. It's no.
As somebody who's extremely excited about this game, Blood, is this messing with your head at all? How did you feel emotionally when that yellow thing scrolled up on your Twitter feed and you're like, not again?
I mean, I felt relief because obviously, a huge game like that is not something you want to deal with in the midst of a dozen other next-gen games. But yeah, at the same time, it definitely, all of this stuff in the past month or so in particular has definitely made it feel a little weird. It's definitely starting to creep into the mental space of how I'm going to enjoy this game, and hoping that, hoping everything pays off, because, it does sound like people had been asked to work this extra time, and you're like, okay, well, you'll get through it, and then you'll have your launch period, and then it'll start to reduce. But it's like, nope, just added 3 more weeks onto all of that. So that's rough. I think it's rough to think that like you're closer to the finish line, and then it gets extended on you.
But Damiani, it's this damn current gen. The biggest challenge for us right now is shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires us to prepare and test 9 versions of it. 9 versions, everybody. Xbox One X, compatibility on Xbox Series XS, PS4 and Pro, compatibility on PS5, PC, and Stadia while working from home. So, I mean, come on. But I mean, I'm sure you have a point, Damiani, but it's like, if you're Activision releasing Call of Duty, are you like, duh? Like, everyone's doing that. What are you talking about?
I mean, I think, to me, this just makes it clear that there are probably significant performance issues with the current gen versions of this game. This game is clearly meant to be played on the higher end machines. It clearly is probably meant to be played on a PC when it comes out. I want to be so sure about like the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro versions of this. I wouldn't be surprised to see some potential issue with it. But the base versions, I think you're going to see a lot of reports. I mean, unless this delay is enough to help them, I think it was just not good enough. I mean, you don't delay it this close. I feel like, especially after you say, you can use all the technicalities you want. Historically, you say something goes gold, there is not a delay that follows. Day 1 patch, sure. Some kind of like something after release is discovered, sure, you do a patch after. This is very abnormal. And I think it is because the base versions of this on the old current gen systems, there's probably serious performance issues they're still trying to work out. And if it came out that date, it probably would have been like dominating the media headlines, and they didn't want that. They probably just wanted it to a place where it's like stable at the very least.
Sure. Well, yeah, and when we got Witcher 3, particularly on consoles, we saw a lot of issues there as well. And I'm curious whether that means we'll see that same kind of thing repeat, and when Cyberpunk comes out, there's going to be a lot of weird stuff that, gets patched out over the next few weeks and months, or if they're like, hey, we don't want that to happen again. And so they're trying to like iron out everything that they can before that thing hits the shelves, but it's going to take seeing it in action and seeing how it pans out. And the fact is that they still don't even have like real PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions, right? Like, that is still coming later. It's like you can play it on your new system, but it's not got all the bells and whistles that you would expect from a new game on a new console. So yeah, it's super weird. I think they even mentioned this in the statement that they are struggling with the work from home situation and all of that on top of everything else. Even the preview events, we kind of saw that and how crazy that had to go down. And so yeah, it kind of goes back to sort of where my conclusion was, when they the last time that this was part of the news, is that like you need to wait to announce your date. Like, the industry should be better about
you need to
hanging
wait
on
to announce your date.
Yeah, it's just like
Bloodworth. I want that on a poster.
Especially because there's been so many dates. I don't even remember all the dates
Like
that there have
E3,
been.
it's so many dates, like a warning sign. Blood. Remember, kids, what Blood says before you watch a press conference. Listen to Bloodworth.
But it's like, especially when you're going to delay it for a second time or a third time, then just stop, get it done. Yeah.
Well,
that's your date.
Practice makes perfect, Blood. And it's like, if you're EA, if you're Ubisoft, if you're Activision, next gen is just it's in your calendar. With like the PS6 is already in Activision's calendar. They know. They're like, we know COD's got to be ready. We know EA's like, we know Madden's got to be ready. Ubisoft's, we know Assassin's Creed's got to be ready.
Yeah, but you see, the thing about a COD or a Madden or NBA is they will ship those games broken.
Well, yeah,
they will sacrifice one of those versions for sure.
But we only get a game from the studio like every 6-8 years. Are they just bad? Are they bad at launching stuff because they're just rusty?
Dude, I mean, Witcher 1 and 2 both had enhanced editions, and Witcher 3 launched in a different landscape, and it had a rough stumbling out of the gate on consoles for a good month. I remember I played it on just PS4 at the time, and for a month it was a little shaky. So I think their games are just so ambitious, dude. Like, Cyberpunk is more next gen to me than all these next gen launch games. So I think with just all the things they need to do, especially during working at home, I can see that it's got delayed, but like Blood says, gotta wait before you announce your date.
Huber, before you got into journalism, would you take work off for a game? Like, would you talk to a boss and be like, I can't,
if I ever did.
Or like, take emergency measures? Because this is a theme I've seen come up a lot. Obviously, there's lots of repercussions here, but like a major complaint that I've seen is they're like, I got to talk to my boss for the third time and tell them like I'm taking this time off, and like I don't know who to advise there. I don't know if that's like a point your finger at Cyberpunk and be like, this guy with his job, or if it's just like, that's another thing you don't do. Like, is that another rule that it's like, you just can't bet that much on a date, even if you have, because there's this tweet floating around that I would love to give credit to the guy who tweeted it, who was like, wait, are we good after the last delay? And CD Projekt Red's like 2 days ago was like, we're good, And I'm like, I was going to take time off. Should we have any sympathy, Huber, for these poor people who
taking
now are
time
stuck
off?
with this
Absolutely
time
not.
off?
That is so much privilege right there. Just taking off work for a game.
Sure.
At most, I think I ditched class when Arkham Asylum came out. That's
respect.
I was in college at the time, and I had like one class that day. I was like, I'm not going. I'm just going down to the mall, picking up Asylum, and calling it a day. So I don't like. I understand it, but. I'm still shocked. It's a lot of delays. But there's just so many, like for me, there's just so many things to keep me occupied. Like a delay will never get under my skin. It will never bother me because there's 153 million video games and movies to watch and play. So really, like Blood earlier started this with saying he was relieved. And honestly, with all the next gen hype coming up in a couple weeks, like me too, I'm kind of relieved. Like just it's something that the game has existed for so long in my brain. I'm just kind of waiting until it comes out and it's on my screen, and then I'll get hyped. Then I'll open the floodgates of hype. So I'm just never really bothered.
4 dates though.
It's a lot of dates.
The last one was November 19th.
I think you did have a good point though about them just not having the practice of releasing games because they I mean, there's been talk like they were working on additional games, but the only ones that I ever saw come to light were Gwent and Thronebreaker, which were essentially one game that was split into two, which again is in its own way a poorly launched game. It's just like, oh, we've got to make two of these. Sure. We shouldn't launch this as the same game.
Right.
So yeah, there's definitely something there, and it's weird because as a player, who's played their games, like there is a clear step up every time that they've released a game, right? Like Witcher 2 is an amazing step forward compared to the original game. Witcher 3 is an amazing step forward compared to Witcher 2. And so that's the expectation, but then it's like, how do you project manage that? I wouldn't be surprised. I won't be surprised if people are deciding to leave after this, because it is crazy town trying to figure all this out.
I wonder how much CD Projekt Red's going to learn from the last couple years, all of these headlines, all this stuff. So like when Ian shared on Slack, he's just like, I'm exhausted with just everything that's happened like around this game, at least just in this last year. And if you're curious about those consequences, two things that stood out to me: their share price fell by 25% since its peak at the end of August. So in 2 months, they've dropped a quarter. Which is not hot, and this pushes it past consideration for the Game Awards. So it will compete in 2021 with all of those people. Again, that's just one award show.
I'm skeptical that it was in the running to begin with. It was pretty much on the line.
It was on the line, but it People can get advanced stuff. You know, Keely's beaten it already. You know, that's not the question. Once it goes, that's what going gold really means. And when it goes gold, that's when Keely gets his copy. Is that day. Yeah. The first person is the developer to hold the disc, and then they hand it off directly to Keely.
I think all the delays though increase expectations even more. I think people are going to be like, waited for this. Now people are ready to pile on. I think,
which is I'll steer that right over to Damiani, which is like this isn't going to affect sales. This isn't good. We'll chuckle at this whenever the next gen versions come out, and we're like, oh, remember what weird state this game was in when it launched? You know, that prevented it from getting 10s in a lot of weird places. But do you think any aside from share cost, do you think any permanent damage done here, Damiani?
I mean, I think the only thing that might happen is once the game launches, internally, I could see a bunch of developers maybe have had enough with the development of this game, potentially. So they might say, all right, like there's been the stories back and forth about it's been horrible crunch. No, this is standard for over here, back and forth. And then it's like, there's like a big exodus or a decent amount of exodus of people after that because we're burnt out from working here. I mean, they might lose talent. It just may be a talent thing. Obviously, their current situation with COVID and stuff and how, you know, it's on the rise over there in Europe again as well. I don't know when that will be when someone has the luxury of I can just go to a different developer, get a different job. It might not be so easy right now, but that might be telling is if there's any internal changes at CD Projekt Red after the launch of Cyberpunk. I think how the game handles content might have some repercussions. They do have a lot of eyes on them for how they'll portray characters and gender identities in the game. They've come under fire for that a few times, but obviously like the finished product is not out there yet. So you will judge it on the final product that comes out and see how it is. So that potentially, that's, you know, game could run flawlessly, but you know, that if it has some problematic content in there, that might be a stigma they're not able to shake. Right. It's been something they've been able to shake pretty well so far. They've like had so many of these misfires socially, and yet they're still like, you know, just like they're trucking along. They're like, yeah, we're still fine, we're good, everything's going well. But I think if the final game has some problems with it, that might be the problem, the thing that finally cracks that impenetrable shield they have there. And but this performance stuff, if like the base versions of the game are just like atrocious or something on like PS4 and Xbox, and you need a minimum of Pro or Xbox One to even get it to run decently, there might be some loss of faith because it's been this is probably their highest profile release. This has been one that's had multiple delays, so it's only like making it more highly anticipated, which means, as you said, they're also going to be more highly scrutinized about this. So I think there's a lot of pressure on them to deliver. So maybe that was in the end, it was like, let's take a little bit more time because we have to get this right. Like, this is going to be our most highly scrutinized game. In their statement, it seemed like they were surprised by next gen. They were like, and then this next gen came out of nowhere. So we were like, well, I guess we're making a next gen version. Next gen came out of nowhere. Okay. Yeah, anybody see that next gen just crashed into our studio? But yeah, it's tough because you said that you're hoping there's gonna be changes to the studio, but we're not gonna find out about those for their 6 to 8 years whenever they release, you know, whatever their next projects are going to be.
It's funny being on this end of it, Jones, because you know, when this game was announced, however many years ago, like 5, 6, 7 now, when that teaser came out, an extra couple months to them is probably nothing because, like Damiani was saying, they got to get these current gen versions right. Where like the consumer is just like more delays, more months. Sure. When from their perspective, it's like not. All this came after 2 just fantastic E3 showings. Everything seemed great. You know, every time this game would show up, we'd be like, wow, they're ready. You know, like this thing really looked this looks like a capable game. And these aren't like competitors, but it's like Damiani at the beginning of the year, you were convinced we were getting both a new Zelda and a new Mario this year. And Mario had a good year, but it's like our concept of like what this Q4 could have looked like has been stripped to Halo Infinite. Stop it. Halo Infinite. You know, all these things that were going to happen this year but are stripped away. Right. Cyberpunk they're sticking the landing in it's going to be a bumpy road, but it's happening in 2020. So I think it's like you said, that scrutiny. It's like Last of Us 2. We're going to go through the same ringer again that we went through with Last of Us 2, Huber, where it's so big
People can't help but be emotional. People are canceling pre-orders for a 21-day delay. They got there that close, 3 weeks
There's
away.
so many other things to
And
play
people are saying
until
they're
then.
bailing. I don't believe them,
Oh
but
my
they're saying
gosh.
that. I'm seeing that sentiment a lot.
Yeah.
Clear your backlogs for 21 days.
In a very smart move to wrap this up, Path of Exile 3.13 expansion moved from December 11th to January of 2021. No specific day.
Get out of the way.
Get out of the way. Get off the road.
Yeah.
Get off the road.
And now, a word from our sponsor, HelloFresh. I am a little bit frustrated because I wanted this sponsor, darn it. It got sent to Ian, who's not on the podcast this week, but he does have an update for everybody in just a second. But this speaks to me because these are easily prepared meals. This is a service that you can get that will just take care of your diet for you. It's fantastic. I don't have to think. They just send me delicious, healthy stuff. But I'm moving, darn it. I'm in a rental right now, and I'm like, it's probably bad if you put this address on there. But man, next time HelloFresh comes around, I'm definitely jumping on that instead of Ian, who I will get to in a second. But I want to tell you about HelloFresh. You can get fresh, pre-measured ingredients and mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door with HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh lets you skip those trips to the grocery store and make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. Save time, money, and stress effortlessly. HelloFresh offers convenient delivery right to your doorstep for easy home cooking with the family. The recipes are easy to follow and quick to make, with simple steps and procedures to guide you along the way. HelloFresh cuts out stressful meal planning and grocery store trips so you can enjoy cooking and getting dinner on the table in about 30 minutes or even less. I don't mind going to a grocery store. It's fine. It's fun. You can socialize. It's fun things. Really good candy at the grocery store. That meal planning, though, forget about it. Forget about it. I got to go to the grocery store to get my mellow cream pumpkin, so I'm fine. I'll make that trip. Meal planning, though. You can save 40% by using HelloFresh versus shopping at your local grocery store, and it's more convenient, too. HelloFresh's gourmet recipes, like their balsamic fig sirloin, are over 60% cheaper than an average meal. Also record this podcast before I eat dinner, so it's rough reading this. So you can enjoy restaurant-quality dinner for less. HelloFresh offers delicious, nutritious variety delivered. HelloFresh offers so many delicious options every week to help you break out of your recipe rut and try new things. There's something for everyone, including low-calorie, vegetarian, and kid-friendly recipes. HelloFresh delivers fresh, high-quality, pre-portioned ingredients, so you can make meals that are delicious and nutritious. Over 90% of ingredients are sourced directly from growers to ensure the freshest recipes are delivered to your door. They also help you eat more sustainably. HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients so you're not overbuying, which is a burden on the planet and your wallet. The packaging HelloFresh uses to ship your food is almost entirely made from recyclable and/or already recycled content. Since they offset their operations, travel, and shipping emissions, HelloFresh's carbon footprint is 25% lower than store-bought grocery-made meals. Take it away, Ian Hink, who actually tried out the product.
Hello everybody, Ian here. I actually received the HelloFresh product at my address, so here I am to tell you about what I got. It came in a box with some ice pack things. It was very well put together. Each meal is individually wrapped in a bag, and it comes with these cool pictures and info sheets with the directions on how to prepare it on the back. You have to cook these yourself. And on the bottom, it's real handy. It says, prep time 10 minutes, cook 30 minutes, calories 740 in the case of the harissa sweet potato pockets, which I have not yet tried. Then I also got tortellini Toscana, which takes 25 minutes or so. And this is the one I'm very excited about, the Louisiana style red beans and rice. Look at that. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. 35 minutes though. And I need more pans than I actually have. So I'm going to cook that this weekend with more pans. But yes, it's very good stuff. Well packaged. Looks good.
Thank you, Ian. Go to HelloFresh.com/allies80 and use code allies80 to get a total of $80 off across 5 boxes, including free shipping on your first box. That's a total of $80 off across 5 boxes, including free shipping on your first box when you use code allies80, ALLIES80 at HelloFresh.com/allies80. And if you are a patron of Easy Allies, thank you. Earnings. Okay? Revenue. You excited? Hubert, you like those MPDs, man. You like it when they report all the units sold and stuff like that. What about earnings? When I say Sony Q2 2020 earnings announcement, do you get excited?
No hype.
No hype for
earnings.
earnings announcement. Oh, come on. Everybody's doing well, though.
I love looking at the games and seeing what people are into, what people love, what's selling, what's not.
Okay.
Earnings.
Stay tuned, Hubert.
Yeah,
Because
I gotta say, I tend to I like to see like the number of consoles, the number of games, but
sure.
you know, when you say how many dollars, and it's like, okay.
Well, we talked about the physical part of the PlayStation. This is the economical part of PlayStation. Sony's dropping stuff. And this is Sony talking about everything. So they're talking about entertainment. And what's interesting is Sony just had their financial report. Microsoft also disclosed, everybody's got different Qs, man. Sony's wrapping up Q2 of 2020. Microsoft closed Q1 of 2021. Microsoft didn't talk about video games that much. Sony did a lot. Sony's having a jolly old time, and they're making all sorts of crazy predictions. So I want to talk about where Sony's at right now and what they think is going to happen for them in this generation that is just days away. These numbers are for the financial period ending September 30th. And this is, Huber, the reason I bring up NPDs is all of this is in line with what we've been talking about the last couple of months, where it's just everybody's doing well. Like, Switch is probably going to destroy both of these next-gen consoles. Software is going crazy. Franchises that never knew success that they could have in the U.S. or, outside.
Selling
games that
3080s on the black market.
Games that came out 2 years ago or toppling Twitch. It's a crazy year. A good success for everybody. Sony's success. Year-on-year sales for the PS4 hit 52.2 billion yen, up 11% for Sony's gaming business. So the PS4 this year, that's PS4 everything. So that's PS4 cards, software, any money being passed through the PlayStation 4 system, added up to 11% for Sony's gaming business compared to year-on-year sales. Hardware sales for the PlayStation 4 declined, which to me isn't that huge of a deal because people are, especially this summer, people are getting ramped up for this, saving money for these new consoles. So Sony's very excited, so excited. They're saying some interesting things. From Jim Ryan, they pre-sold as many units of the PS5 in the first 12 hours as PS4s in the first 12 weeks. So it sold the same amount in 12 hours that the PS4 sold in 12 weeks. Jim Ryan saying that. Damiani, do you believe him? He could just say that. But do you think, does that sound, is it hard to get a PS5 because of COVID, or is it hard because these numbers are so intense?
And I mean, obviously, COVID changed things so that people are all rushing to do it online. But I do not remember a video game related thing that was like a console or a game that was meant to be mainstream that had as much sellout so quickly. And pretty much everything I've seen this year, hardware wise, this is ridiculous how fast it sells out. It's just blowing away thing. It's like concert tickets sell out this fast, because it's like a venue that holds like a few thousand people. This is like potentially like hundreds of thousands of to potentially millions, who knows, worldwide of these pre-orders. Just ridiculous how fast they sold out of it. But it ended up being funny because PS5 was the one that it was just all over the place with the pre-orders. Everyone just started taking pre-orders. But I felt like maybe you had a better chance with that because when Xbox announced the hard date, everyone for the first 10 minutes was complaining about nothing working. So it's
right. That's that week, Damiani. That's the exact point Ian made, where he's like, I think actually worked out better for Sony because it was more scattershot. So it's just kind of you missed it or you didn't. It's like when Nintendo does a surprise direct, either you're lucky or you're not, And so sorry,
I just. To me, it's it shows more than anything just how we've changed in terms of how we buy things. That people are just going to Amazon rather than, okay, I'm going to go down to Toys R Us or GameStop or Walmart or whatever and pre-order there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big part of the difference here is that when you had to go down to the store to do this,
right,
then if they were out, then it's like, all right, well, I guess I'll try it somewhere else. But if you luck out a couple of times, well, then, you might wait a couple of weeks. You might see if a friend, you might phone a friend and they call you up and hey, they got a couple over here down the street. It's okay, I'll come get it now. I don't think I've ever ordered a console online, before this generation. I was always just
right.
Get the bead on who's gonna break that street date, go down there and get it as soon as I can, or I had my pre-order in, and I was like there at midnight. It's like one or the other.
Yeah, that's
Huber,
the thing.
blood in a trench coat on the corner just at night, steam coming out of the vents and just like, when are you going to get the console? When you break that street date? Damiani, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, like the whole thing before is the stores usually were the place you went to go get them first because you were worried the system wouldn't be delivered to you in time if you bought it online. You're like, you have to wait a few days. Like, no, I want like launch night. Let's go midnight launch line.
I mean, people are still worried.
Yeah, and people are still worried, but like it's more reliable now.
Right.
But I'm also with Blood. I was like, I remember like as far like as Wii U and PS4, I bought in a store. I think PlayStation 4 Pro was the first one I ordered from Amazon, and then Switch. I like made the Switch I pre-ordered, and then now this. So I've completely switched over to like preferring online over getting a store. But I am curious though, if we weren't in the current situation we're in, if there were more stores open to take pre-orders and more stores maybe sure of getting a little bit more inventory, if it would have been as bad online as it was. I think that's the big what if people would love to see, maybe answered someday.
Yeah, going in the store back in the day when they used to like have a set time for pre-orders, it was like you got to control your own fate almost. It's like, how early am I willing to get in line? I am in control of this. I'm going to get there at I remember Brad coming to my house and pounding on my window at 3 a.m. to get in line for the Wii pre-orders. It's like we made that happen. We control our fate. And now with online, it's like, well, is the site gonna crash? Am I gonna? It's like rolling the dice.
Yeah, dudes rolling out of bed, still in their underwear.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I got it.
So much luck involved.
The
with
amount
just
of effort is like it's just so all over the place because you could try and try and try and try and not get anything. Or, if you've got $500, you can just pay somebody who knows how to run a bot, and there you go.
That's the thing. You're fighting against those scalpers and bots more and more. Used to be scalpers had to wait in line with you and stuff, and like there was a limit. Now it's like, it's like scalpers paradise right now.
My strategy was just to miss the whole thing entirely and then just steal Brad's PS5 pre-order and Damiani's Xbox Series X pre-order. It worked out pretty well. I mean,
it worked out pretty well.
These consoles aren't in my hands yet, but we'll see. Is there a finder's fee, Damiani? Is there an ordering fee, a securement fee?
Nope.
No? All right. It's a pretty good deal. Jim Ryan added, quote, "It may well be that not everybody who wants to buy a PS5 on launch day will be able to find one."
Was he secretly happy saying that? Yeah. Feels good.
Is that an understatement? Huber, your face is red. You're laughing so hard.
That's absurd. That's just, he's so casual about that. It's like, I know so many people who they've just resigned from it. They're like, I'm waiting until next year. Like, I'm out. They tried so hard that first, those first couple days of pre-orders going live, and they came up empty. So they're just
I am very curious what stores will actually look like, though.
Well, it's interesting because GameStop, Bloodworth, is limiting the digital consoles because they want to drive up hardware sales. That's kind of the only thing I've heard about brick and mortar is it's better for them to sell the disc version of the PS5.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, I know they for sure got less digital consoles. I remember hearing that.
Yeah.
But
you also want to get those hungry disc drives out in the world for those discs, because they sell a lot of those too. So, Ryan expects the PS5 to sell over 7 million units by April of 2021. I don't know when April specifically he is selecting, but that's the goal.
That's when the new fiscal starts.
Oh, for them. And then CFO Hiro Totoki said that they are aiming to exceed the PS4's 7.6 million unit sales in its first year. So PS4, just got over that 7 million unit marker. What do you think, Blood? Are they going to do it? Taking bets. Unofficial.
I think there's a good chance. Yeah, I think people were pretty hungry for the PS4, but I feel like there's a lot of fervor around the PlayStation 5 as well. And like we were saying with the online situation, that like it just makes it easier for people to get them as soon as there's inventory. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think that it really comes down to how many are they able to make. Like every generation, it's how many can they actually put out there for people to buy, and if that number's bigger, then they'll sell them. Like I don't think there's much chance of either of these things not selling everything they can make.
It's such a safe
Agreed.
answer. Damiani, yes or no? Are they hitting that mark or not? 7 mil, April 2021.
As long as they're not supply constrained, I think they can do it. Yeah, I
Nice.
actually do. Yeah.
100% they're breaking that.
That's what I'm
Jones.
looking
There's
for,
the
man. All
answer.
this
Yeah,
I think
100%. It's not even a question. The demand is maximum demand, like Crisis. In the Crisis voice.
And as we touched on earlier, Totoki was the one that said PS5 will represent, and I love this quote, I love this terminology, a negative contribution for the time being. This is anytime somebody buys a PS5, we're all gonna be sad. It just like a sad sound plays in the Sony offices. If Xbox is cheaper, is it safe to say Xbox will have negative contributions as well? Are they just both in this position right now of just this, especially if they have not only that, but the Xbox Series S, which is really going to be interesting. I mean, I can't make predictions either way, Huber, but I'm specifically with I obviously have the two PS5s as well, but the X versus S, I'm so curious to see which one sells more.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know there's already been confusion with the names and all that, so who knows?
Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that even the digital edition of the PS5 and the S are also selling at a loss. Like the digital PS5 being $100 less than the base model, like that's a big dollar
20%.
amount. Yeah. So I think that all across the board, they're losing money on these first runs.
Yeah.
I forgot.
For sure.
I forgot we got PS4 first in November of 2013. It got in Japan in February of 2014. Whereas the PS5 launch will be simultaneous. So that's another thing about sales, just in terms of you looking at that first year.
Europe gets it on the 19th.
Yeah, there's a delay. Remember, not all the same world gets the system at the same time.
For these two regions specifically, for the US and Japan. Yeah, it's China and South America, I believe, are delayed. For the PS5.
I'm just very curious if the Xbox Series S is going to be their leader. It felt like they were kind of the language they were using made it sound like they think it's going to be the better seller in the long run. I'm not totally convinced about that. I mean, maybe that's not their position, but I don't have a lot of faith in the Series S being like the best seller in like the year one of the two. Unless they don't make as many of the Series X for whatever reason, I expect the Series X to be, for whatever reason, the early adopters want like the more powerful one. They want like, there's more enthusiasts who want the better system. So I would be surprised if I think it'll go beyond that actually. I think it will go past just that and it'll end up being people just wanted the Series X the whole time.
Blood, you look like I'm going to get corrected on that last statement. Did you want to clarify anything? With my
well, I just thought that I thought Europe was the 19th as well.
Might be. I saw it when I saw somewhere written where it said the PS5 launch will be simultaneous in all of these regions. That South America and China were specifically the ones where it was not. But we could be on the verge of like this could not work out. Like a lot of people could get their consoles super late. We have checked out these consoles and that's been one of our early impressions of some of these games is coming out and that's very exciting.
November 19th.
But this launch, nice. Okay,
yep,
but this launch, but I mean even in even happening the same year, is different as it's been in the past. If this goes very poorly for both of these systems, have they covered their bases enough? Do you think that like both Sony and Microsoft have done enough to be like, hey, we tried? Because again, like all these delays are happening, but like they've just been so insistent. Like we're gonna hit those windows. We are going to launch this year. We're launching in Q4. We're launching holiday.
I think with everything going on, that's all you can really do as Microsoft and Sony right now is like make as many as you can. But I have no expectations. Therefore, I cannot be bummed out. Because of just how up in the air everything is. Like shipping is hard right now. Like there's a lot of constraints happening. So I think them just being positive and saying we're gonna make as many as we possibly can is really the only thing that can be done.
I think if there was going to be any kind of significant disruption in the supply chain, we'd know about it at this point. Just just based on the fact that like they confidently, sent out the review units to everybody and everything like that. You look at the back of that Xbox packaging, and it's got Master Chief on it. Like these things were made a long time ago and started stockpiling. Like they've got everything in terms of those logistics sorted out as well as they could possibly be, which is pretty commendable considering how nuts the year has been. So yeah, I think Damiani, we got the Walmart notice that like PlayStation 5 controllers would be coming like weeks early.
Supposedly it comes tomorrow.
Yeah. So the stuff is in the pipes. I really think it would take something newly catastrophic to disrupt any current pre-orders.
Yeah, hardware wise, I think they're pretty set, barring what Blood said. I think the only thing that might be the disappointing in the end, especially as the sales numbers of the units seem to impress, maybe the software sales. Just because a lot of games are not obviously coming out probably when they intended to come out.
Destruction All-Stars just got delayed.
So I feel like that first year, maybe even at this up to like the end of the fiscal year in April, might be a little bit below their targets for a lot of that stuff. But that's more like I think investor stuff than anything. Long term, I'm sure things will correct and they'll get their schedules sorted out. So yeah, I'm on the same opinion that I think as long supply is there and as long as it stays there, they'll as Huber's enthusiasm, they'll probably break meet or break that. That is the expectation.
Fingers crossed. Huber, Microsoft said they're predicting Series X and S driving supply-constrained hardware revenue growth up 40%. Think that their hardware revenue is going to go up 40%, though supply-constrained. I love that's another good quote for the ages.
Yeah.
They're both admitting like it's tight. We're
I definitely think
make as mmany of these things as we can, but fingers crossed.
I think Halo getting pushed hurts that initial hype though. Like if Halo was dropping, I would also say 100% shattering all records. I still think Microsoft will. I think Xbox is going to sell astronomically, but yeah.
Well, with all these things that got delayed to 2021, plus all of these next-gen versions of things that haven't happened, plus all of this backwards compatibility that I think is going to slowly roll out after these consoles, there's going to be like new things popping up on these systems, just the daily, weekly, monthly. 2021 is going to be like, oh, they finally did that thing now. That's going to be like getting like No Man's Sky updates. You're like, oh, that thing is a lot cooler than it was when it launched.
Just I didn't get around to playing Ori yet, but I know there's going to be some Series X enhancements. So that to me is like kind of a Series X launch game, just because that's one that I've heard good things about, and it's like nice. I missed the first time around. Now it's play a better version, so I think that's cool.
2020 coming to a close. The season's changing. The fall, it's getting colder. The cold breeze in the air. The leaves are changing, and we got the final Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase of the year. They said it specifically, Damiani. They said when it started, they're like, "This is it, folks. You're done." Just as they've been very much courting, or not courting, controversy just in terms of what they do or do not announce in their various directs and showcases. This seems like obviously intentionally to be like, "Don't ask us. We're not doing another partner showcase."
Yeah, they third party wise, they seem to be in a good spot now through the early next year. So I don't think it makes much sense for them to put out another one because their MO for a while now has been not to announce things too soon. So I mean, all the way through like Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Stories 2. What's the subtitle? And I already forgot. But looks great though, the game. Sorry, forgot the title. But those two are gonna like dominate the sales in that month as well. And now we got Bravely Default 2 coming out in not making 2020, but coming out February 26, 2021, which means Nintendo's now publishing 2 games in February. They'll have that, and then Super Mario 3D World and was it Bowser's oh my gosh,
Big blast.
No, Hubert, no. It's not. Come on, Hubert.
Bowser's Fury.
Bowser's Fury. There we go. Bowser. I almost believed you for a split second too. I was like, wait, that's not right. Come on, there. But yeah, this was a good finish to it, though. I think from where they started with these. It's kind of gone back and forth a little bit there. There have been some misfires, but I do feel these last two in particular were really strong. The last month's one and this month's one were really good. And maybe this, some games probably just need a little bit more time to cook before they're ready to talk about.
I'm happy to hear that. That was the take I was going to try to get before the end of the convo about this, was that they seem to be maneuvering a lot in terms of how they announce these things, when they do them, the lead up to them, what's in them. And so it's kind of like state of plays. Like, there have been some really good ones, but I feel it's kind of hard to track like how excited I should be for a state of play when they happen, where I feel like they have learned from these, which you basically just said, Damiani, but it's nice to echo that. Do you feel that way, Blood, Hubert? Like, have you enjoyed, this seemed like a good one. We can get into the details, but I think these are, I'm excited for the first Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase of 2021.
I'm excited. I'm always excited for a direct or a state of play or whatever it may be. Varying levels of excitement, but there's always a spark of excitement for sure. So much fun.
The naming convention on these things is really weird. It's almost like heads up, we don't have games ready, but our friends got some. You want to see?
Right.
Because otherwise, this stuff would just be in any other Nintendo Direct. So.
I like the distinction, though, because first-party Nintendo comes with its own host of excitement and rumors and hype. So I really like the distinction. I think going into minis and partnerships is the way to do it, because our expectations were in check that way.
If you don't
Ian
have
always
something,
talks about
sure.
Yeah.
But like, it's just funny because you look at something like the Hyrule Warriors or the even part-time UFO, and it's just like those just feel like those are Nintendo games, and like Nintendo's publishing Bravely Default, so it's just like they're not anything that's being developed by their own studios. So yeah, I actually wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of months into 2021 and we never see another partner showcase again, because Nintendo's finally figured out the rhythm of how they're going to announce their games.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Blood. I mean, I think this was more just a strategy for them to allow certain announcements to still happen and not be tied to the Nintendo Direct formula. I think trying to proceed with normal Nintendo Directs relied more on Nintendo first-party titles ready to go. And hey, third-party partners, what do you got ready for us? We're going to do a direct. And they kind of messaged, the reports earlier in the year were that third parties were being told, hey, whenever you're ready to announce stuff, you can announce stuff. Or then they announce these these partner directs. So it's like, Nintendo's like, we're going to help you announce these, but stop trying to like figure out the formula of, hey, we're going to do a direct with all these together. I think they might get back to that, because while as exciting as this is, it's nice to have something almost every month with these. I kind of preferred when these happened every few months, honestly. Okay. I liked having the spring proper direct. I liked having the E3 direct. I liked having the fall direct. It was basically 3 times a year we got like big updates from Nintendo. And then you had the indies that happened usually twice a year. You got those. And then you
have one at GDC.
And then you maybe had a mini direct here or there. And mini directs were like, okay, we got a few titles you might have missed that might have got overshadowed by everything. It made sense to me. The hierarchy, the formula, and everything like this. This to me speaks of like we had to adapt to the times. But if things ever get back to a little bit more to like normal, the old normal, maybe they go back to the old style again. And I'd kind of prefer them to go back to that style if we get back to that type of lifestyle.
Yeah. So those COVID warnings, when those go away, so do the mini partner showcases, basically.
Maybe a little after that, not exactly. Don't like say, oh, the first one doesn't have one. We're back to normal, baby. Let's go. Like,
right.
Maybe we'll give it a few before you jump to that.
4 shadow drops in this direct.
Yeah.
4 shadow drops.
Yeah.
Control.
That.
Boom. There's Control on the Switch. Cloud version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been waiting for that to happen for a while, because they've had some stuff like that happen in Japan.
Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, I haven't
that was
seen
a ways ago,
a whole lot of it happening in the U.S. I can't think of any even like examples off the top of my head if they've even done it before here. But yeah, and Control is like 505 Games is like, touting ray tracing and stuff. Like you can't even get that on a PS4 and Xbox One X.
It's like,
So it's like the Switch version's actually better, guys.
Yeah, if you wanted to run at like a low frame rate, sure, go ahead. Even with that cloud, this is surprising because it was not just one but two game announcements about using cloud versions. There's Control, which was, as you said, the shadow drops. We're getting to try it out right now, so we're getting a taste of, at least here, what the future might be for Nintendo and third-party ports of games that might not be technically possible on Switch hardware, barring a revision or new system. And then Hitman 3 cloud version as well. And then the people who were looking at some of the data miners, Huber, found some stuff pointing to Resident Evil 3 potentially getting a cloud version as well at some point. Which means if these run well, this could be a solution for Nintendo. But yeah, the real quick, the performance, there's a Control comes with a enhanced performance mode, which focuses on like the game runs more stable, runs more fluid. Right. But you're sacrificing a little visual fidelity and enhanced graphics, which has the ray tracing. I have a gigabit internet connection. And I have to say, even with that, it was not very fun to play the enhanced graphics. When I stood still, it was nice to look at, but the enhanced performance is the way to go.
In Control?
Yeah, in Control. Would you see? Yeah, man, really? Control? But the performance mode's legit. It's legit. With a good internet connection, it's legit.
It's cool. It's hilarious though that it's the Ultimate Edition, because this is like this notorious version of Control you needed to access the next gen version,
right.
And then this version will be coming cloud streaming to Switch for like the worst graphical fidelity of the versions. The Journey Control Ultimate Edition has had. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity demo shadow dropped. You can play through Chapter 1 and carry that progress over to the full game.
It's been a really interesting strategy that they've taken on several times now with these demos lately.
So much so that I think it kind of burns a little bit when they don't do that. Even on like on other consoles, we get stuff and we're just like, oh damn, like that. That's why that question came up for, was it Baldur's Gate 3 or something else? So we were like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like 3 save files you've had to like start over. And Part-Time UFO, which is a cute little game. You can check that out.
So
now.
jolly.
No More Heroes 3 is coming to Switch. First time we've seen like a final non-blocked, non-weird streamed gameplay clip of this, right?
No.
No, we did see other.
We've seen stuff. It's just even the No More Heroes 3 part at the end kind of like had the weird like grasshopper stuff going on with like the release date, like coming to 2021 or whatever. It was like this colorful border. I mean, it's just good to like, we've been waiting to hear more about No More Heroes 3. Like, is it coming out this year? Is there any chance? Is it 2021? Like one in 2021? But them doing the smart thing, saying, guess what? The first 2 No More Heroes also come into Switch already, and they're available right now as well. So that was a pretty good overall announcement from them, an update, even if it wasn't like a significant like deep dive into No More Heroes 3 just yet. It's, hey, here's some stuff to whet your appetite while we're almost ready for you to like get into No More Heroes 3.
Yeah, I thought it was really great the way they presented it too, with the actors from the game, being the ones giving those announcements, and just hearing Travis' voice talk about those releases, and it's true. It's like you're talking about Wii games. Like a lot of people have missed those games. A lot of people have heard about them and never played them. And here's a shot. Everything like this has been really doing, gangbusters on the Switch. When we see the Mario Kart 8 sales and the Donkey Kong Country sales and everything else. So yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance that people are going to be able to, hop into these games for the first time, and they'll probably do really well, particularly with that excitement from, just coming out of nowhere.
I'd like to think somebody on the Easy Allies podcast predicted that both No More Heroes 1 and 2 would come to Switch. That seems like a good idea, something that they should do. And obviously, like, people are looking forward to this game. People are also looking forward to Bakugan Champions of Vestroia.
Oh, yeah.
November 3rd. Tropico 6, a very chunky looking version of Tropico 6 drops on November 16th, but that game's got a lot of charm, and so people can check that out.
Does not look good. Some people jumped down my throat, basically thought I was trash talking the Tropico series. Like, no, the Switch port looks trashy, and the frame rate's horrible.
And
Tropico as a series is
some
amazing.
Of those beautiful environments on Earth. So like those greens and the lush blues of the
you play that on PC, man. Play Tropico on PC, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Another funny thing to think about playing on Switch, because it did this to my brain because of the connection to Breath of the Wild. Immortals Phoenix Rising, December 3rd, got an update on that. Played this demo in Stadia, Damiani. Completely doubling down on everything Damiani said about it. The demo is fantastic. This game is going to be a ton of fun. Damiani really liked the demo that he checked out, which I actually played a different thing.
Yeah, you played something different than what I played. I heard about what the demo was.
It was very much a custom demo, and it was really cool. I would imagine
this is another one where the Switch version footage looked a little rough. And the fact that it's going to be another version.
A little rough, but I didn't think it was too bad.
No, but Blood, it's in my brain when I see this. I'm like, oh yeah, this great Switch game I'm gonna play. Then it's like, wait, no, I don't have to compromise it, Huber. I'll probably get this on PC, man. Why not?
Yeah.
If I could play Breath of the Wild on PC, I totally would.
Yeah, I want this to look nice when I play it, so I'm not gonna be playing it on Switch. But it runs fine. It looked better than Tropico 6 at least. It's port. Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to create my own character. I imagine people felt that way with Mass Effect, when they keep seeing all these Mass Effect 2 and 3 trailers. So it's like, who's that guy? That's not Shepard. It's cool to see what he's gonna be doing, but very much not the character I created. So it's gonna be interesting to create my own Phoenix, run out into that world. We're gonna have to wait till 2021 to get Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. Surviving the Aftermath, which Blood, put my name on the list for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a demo out or something. I think it's in early access on Steam right now. But yeah, you're just making a little Sim City in the apocalypse. Lots of people comparing it to Frostpunk, but it's getting good vibes. Griftlands, the Nintendo Switch edition. That is Cyberpunk apocalypse card game, role playing game.
Yeah, that
game
12
looks
seconds.
sick.
Yeah.
That game looks really good.
Yeah, a very, very fun style for that. Very consistent style across all of the stuff I've seen.
Is that from who's that from? Like Klee, maybe? Is Klee doing that?
It's Klee.
Yep. Great games.
The Hitman 3 cloud version that we talked about, and a game that we have not touched on that I want to talk about last before we end this. Bravely Default 2. Damiani, this game looks weird.
I'm not the only one that thinks that. Yes, Jones.
Yeah,
yes.
Is it because
the first
now,
one looks
this
so
might be
striking
ignorant for me? I have not been following Bravely Default news. I just played Bravely Default 1. I totally missed Bravely 2nd. Completely missed it. Didn't touch it at all. Didn't see anybody play it. I don't know if we reviewed that. I barely remember reading the script.
Yeah, that came.
But Default 2, Switch, and everything's, all the stars are aligning. This is definitely something I want to check out next year. But not a style I think that translates really well to the engine that they're using or something. I don't know.
It looks like the Crystal Chronicles remaster, kind of.
The thing is it's inconsistent.
That's really harsh.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
I'm with Blood, yeah.
I whenever they've shown like those town shots that'll go by in like a half a second, like, ooh, that looks like a cool town. And like some of the monster shots, it's like, like when they went to the Beastmaster, all looks cool. But there's just something with those faces to where it's just like, it's like they don't have enough polygons to do what they're trying to do with them, or I don't know what it is. They just look really off and stiff, and
It reminds me of the World of Final Fantasy faces. Yeah. Not quite, but like what they needed to do with that game for whatever. Like that was clearly a choice. They obviously have the fidelity, the technical capability to do more detailed faces than that in World of Final Fantasy. But I was like, maybe they're going to that type of style because the systems can't handle that. So. Yeah, I don't know. Like when I played the demo, it wasn't that bad, but I think I played both in handheld and docked. It wasn't that too much. It wasn't that off-putting to me, but maybe I don't know. Maybe the more polished look, it's starting to become more apparent that there's a clashing of styles. Because the demo had a lot of town time in it, and it looked great. But like you clearly change to a different style when you're out in the world doing combat and exploring dungeon-like environments.
And Damiani, you added the demo's been out. I'm completely late to the party on this. And I'm still gonna play it. Like again, it's all the stuff they talked about: Beastmaster, the Bard, like all their fun classic. The Gambler Huber, who like, you can roll the dice, but it's like you might die.
Dude, yeah.
I love that.
I'm sure that game will be a lot of fun. I have complete faith in that developer. I'm sure the story's going to be really great. I remember the dialogue was very fun. The characters, like the way they played off each other, was very amusing.
They did listen to the feedback from the demo.
Yeah.
Like they showed
Made a
like
big deal out of
difficulty
that.
settings. Like they took some of that feedback. It's clear that they're making some adjustments. Which
20,000 responses to that demo survey. Yeah, people said there was a lot of stuff about difficulty and the controls that they're going to be tweaking. So, just curious. I'm not saying this looks bad. It just looks weird. Everybody looks like kids. So when the heroes are kids, I kind of jive with it. But then like when the evil villain shows up and he's like 9 years old, it's like he's got a beard. It's like
you don't like Chibi, okay?
He looks like a toy. It's like Final Fantasy IV on DS. It just kind of. The world looks great. It fits, but it just does, the gravitas of it just doesn't. And then even the big world-ending events from Bravely Default, the style just kind of fit it. But what the hell? I haven't played this game anyway. Who knows? And I don't, we'll complain about it again until February of 2021.
I think it's just because the first one looked so beautiful. Mm-hmm. So when you set the bar, when you set the standard of like, to me, that was one of the most beautiful 3DS games I'd ever played. Mm-hmm. So when the new, like when you have a 2 on it and it's a sequel, and it looks weird, to me worse, then I think that's where it's coming from.
Fair. But we will see. I mean, that it's a franchise that I'm glad is getting a sequel, and I want it to
or like a
to
DS game that's got like a gloss over it in some ways, right? Like it's,
I don't know.
it definitely doesn't look that bad, but it kind of gives you that impression with the style. It's like they made that style because of limitations in a way. And then we'll just keep that. That's what people are used to. And it's like, maybe change stuff.
I don't know. To me, Bravely Default, it just looks like the Bravely Default like the battle scenes. It just looks like it's rendered like higher fidelity, and like they decided to like make rounded faces so they look all younger and stuff. Like it was a decision, but I don't know, for battle environment stuff, like looking at them side by side, I don't think it's that. I think it's just the faces, I guess, might be off-putting to some people, but like otherwise, like the character style, I don't think it's that drastically different.
And I think I'll totally get used to it. It's like Peter being different in Miles Morales. Like, it's gonna take me like 4 hours, and then I'm finally gonna like. But it's just tis odd. I don't know if it's odd enough to deserve its own timestamp, but kudos to Nintendo for because I just want to say I don't have proof of this, but. This was, the John Vignacchi's new role, Disney Infinity, former Disney John Vignacchi, checking in with all these third-party people at Nintendo. So I wonder how much power. If Vignacchi goes over there, we start getting these weird partner showcases. There's got to be some sort of connection. So sometime in 2021, when we get back to bars, I will be in a bar with this man, and I'm just waiting for him to be like, "What'd you think of those mini partner showcases?" I'll be like, "I knew it was you." So I want to get everyone's takes. So if I can offer some advice. Also this week, a bunch of headlines coming from this week because, Huber, everybody's talking about their financial reports. Everybody's dropping them. Ubisoft,
End of the year.
Ubisoft doing well. Posted a net of $880 million from the first half of its 2020 to 2021 fiscal year, up 8.5% from the previous year. Across all of its games, Ubisoft had 100 million active players on PC and console, which is kind of where my head is at every single time we get an Ubisoft showcase, because it's like, do they even need to have like more than half of like all the people playing their games are playing all the old stuff, all the old up-resed Assassin's Creed games, Rainbow Six Siege, like a lot of
For
stuff.
Honor still going.
For Honor.
Oh yeah.
Capcom's video
Non-stop.
game division recorded its highest ever second quarter profits, $343 million, up 21%. Annapurna Interactive is launching an internal development studio. Annapurna drops a lot of really fascinating stuff on us. I think that's a name we recognize. They're kind of like the tame Devolver.
Sure. I like that. I like that, Jones.
Just they're hit makers. Every time I hear about Annapurna, it's like, that game's going to be interesting. People are going to talk about that. They're going to appreciate it. I don't know if sales are going to be skyrocketing, but so cool to see them. I don't know if that's because they wanted to give devs a try, or there's a specific game that they want to assign people. They're looking for a director for their first
essentially
project.
like an art house kind of vibe,
because they do more than games.
Bug Snacks will be on PS Plus at the launch of the PlayStation 5, but not on PS4. Only on PlayStation 5 on that PS Plus.
Song can't run on PS4.
But it's too much. That's what we're figuring out now that we finally get our hands on these consoles, where those lines are.
Wait, what?
Is
No,
Bugs-
it's on PS4. You just don't get it on PS Plus on PS4.
I'm sorry. Yes, if you have PS Plus, you will get Bugsnax for free on PS5. You will not get it for free. You will have to buy it on PlayStation 4.
Super smart move. This reminds me, I know it's not the same because it's not like multiplayer, but Rocket League just blowing up when it was on PS Plus. I wonder if Bugsnax will have kind of a similar,
Huber,
because of that.
What a beautiful transition, because Destruction All-Stars is moving to February and joining PlayStation Plus, presumably for the same reasons.
There it is.
Among
yes.
Us also had similar success that way. It's like, this has become the new thing of a game. We're like, wait, no, what if we just give this to everybody? And then all of a sudden people can't stop talking about it. They really want to check it out.
There's a part of me with the Destruction All-Star story that makes me wonder if like somebody in that team was like, see, I told you when you said we're going to sell this game for $70. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work, yeah. This is one of those games that it's because Sony was reiterating their stance that they don't want to do a Game Pass style model because they need high budget games and it's not sustainable. And that basically doing something like this, putting this on PlayStation Plus, is basically saying this game is not really sustainable at a full price right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Totally dummy.
This was super last minute too.
Yeah.
Like, we were definitely expecting to get this game, so it was like, oh, really? Okay.
But a great move.
I'm curious if there's box copies out there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know, was this game going to be in stores? Are there printed discs on there?
Bury it next to ET. But a smart move. I'm seeing a lot of positivity around it, and I think February people will be excited about it, checking it out. Kickstarter for a board game based on Frostpunk that I mentioned before raised over 2 million euros. Very successful. Jason Ronald from Team Xbox tweeted, and we said this, but the official tweet was, after 500,000 hours of testing plus, we are excited to share that all Xbox, Xbox 360, and Xbox One games playable on Xbox One today, except for a handful that require Kinect, will be available and look and play better on Xbox Series X/S at launch.
Shout out,
And so I like to hear these things too, because you often wonder, like, what are they doing right now? What is it like? Of all the devs, is it out of their hands and it's just shipping people right now? It's just marketing people. It's interesting to see them like come out of the room, sweaty, tired, unshaven.
It's such good vibes. Just it's to me, it's a move of love. Like, I can't imagine them making a ton of money off of this, but the amount of work just seems like exhausting.
A lot of those loving consumer practices, I think, are being shown off at Microsoft these days.
Just good vibes.
Bad vibes, Huber. Another great transition. The opposite of that. Apparently, deleting your Facebook account will also delete your Oculus purchases.
Delete Facebook.
So, another solid reason to really jump all over this Facebook gaming transition and everything. Again, they're slowly rolling all of those Facebook features out, but yikes. Soon you'll need a Microsoft account to play Mojang games, including Minecraft. Sorry. Microsoft, Mojang, Minecraft, all three separate things. Silent Hill's creative team apparently worked on the Halloween event for World of Tanks. So there you go.
It's crazy.
I don't know what parallels you can draw there, but that's the thing that happened. Netflix is producing a live-action Assassin's Creed series because why not?
Fassbender come back.
Hype level, Huber? You seem like you would be down for that.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Ask me again after Valhalla.
Gotta be better than the movie. Gotta be better than the movie, right? Gotta be.
Is it?
That bar is
the movie
low.
was okay. It wasn't terrible.
It was whatever.
Wasn't good. Wasn't terrible. It's
Alex Hutchinson made some statements about music royalties that Google was not a fan of and distanced itself pretty far. Now, not only from Google, but all of its various platforms.
It wasn't just about music. It was
to
about
pounce on our
games
DMCA
and
talks
copyrights
and
yeah.
Everwild creative director Simon Woodroff has resigned from his position at Rare, stepping away from Everwild for personal reasons. Nothing really to dig into there yet. I made that mistake last time. We might find out something else about Simon, but Godspeed to him until we get that news. Halo Infinite's director Chris Lee confirmed he has stepped back from Infinite and did so after the showcase. This happened a while ago, but he just finally talked about it now. So yeah, there was definitely a fallout there.
Interesting.
Might have been his choice. Don't know if that was something where he was like fired from the role, but he said he personally stepped back. World of Warcraft Shadowlands launching on November 23rd. We weren't really sure what that date was. It got pushed back a little bit. Got a bunch of Final Fantasy 16 details because the official website launched. The protagonist's name is, do you know, Huber? Do you know the protagonist of Final Fantasy 16? Clive Rosefield. which is like what if
Rosefield?
which is like what if Chris Redfield like found himself
Rosefield is
in
a
a
fun
Final
name.
Fantasy world.
Now I'm just thinking of GTA 3, Jones.
Clive Rossfield. Sorry, it might not be Rosefield. It might be Rossfield. Clive
Rossfield.
Rossfield.
Rosefield
more
is
to
funny
family.
though.
Rossfield. And there's more characters, more world building stuff.
Yeah.
We could have
Looks
dived into
great.
that, but yeah, it's a
good.
lot of good story stuff to learn. A lot of fun terminology. I remember when like Elsie. What was it for third? When I first saw that word, it
C
was
and
like,
foul
I was
C.
like,
Yeah.
oh, damn. I had like I literally just had a piece of paper that I would check like in the review. Gotta commit
I
it.
gotta say right now, like Square Enix and Final Fantasy 16 included, guys, like read the room right now. There's a lot of stuff happening. You can hang on to your preview information for just a little bit.
Names of characters.
I
plenty of room.
Promote. No.
I
Promote.
feel like this game was maybe. I think it's way further along than people think. I guess I'm on board with that now. I'm convinced.
2021.
I think it was
let's
supposed
go.
to maybe even be like a launch window game, and it
Yeah.
just
Oh,
COVID
boy.
gonna push.
This
it
is gonna
back.
be a Christmas 2021 game.
And you know, no, actually, to counter that one real quick, Blood. I know there's a lot of stuff, but like this is the thing that gets people excited for PS5 because it is a exclusive window for PS5. So dropping this right ahead of the release, I know people can't. They're all sold out. It's like, but guess what? Like, look, you get to look forward to. It just keeps that. I don't know. It keeps the hype level high. I think for that. Plus, like, man, the amount of people talking about 16, it's just like, people. It's going like it's insane. Like, I think people are like, one way or the other, they're very excited for this one and want to see what it is.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's just my selfishness with my email box. Like,
Poor
I got
Blood.
people hitting
Oh,
me.
I
I'm
want
like,
you
what are you doing in
selfish on this show."
January? And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? I don't want to think about January right now.
I need you selfish on the show, Blood. Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Quarantine delayed past April 1st, 2021. I say past because they didn't give it an official date. They were like sometime after, not before. Sure as hell not before April 1st. And Far Cry 6 is, we still have more details, so that's not that big of a deal. But they had 2 Ubisoft events this year. Didn't say a peep about Rainbow Six Quarantine. I saw a lot of Ubisoft fans complaining about that. We're like, where the hell is this weird game we don't know a lot about? So we finally got at least that window of when that's happening. Resident Evil 3 cloud version rumored. The graphic popped up on the internet. We talked about that. AMD revealed their new Radeon RX 6000 line of graphics cards. That is all I will say
Stuff
about that.
that's in your new systems. That's
Yep.
that's on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X.
Here's some of these warm vibes you were talking about from Xbox, Huber, that Sony's doing. Sony's got a website giving out free adapters to let the PS5 camera play PSVR. So you got the PSVR, you want to play on your PS5. They got a PS5 camera, doesn't work. You got to get an adapter for that old camera. No word yet on like their specific plans for PSVR. And PlayStation Blog listed the 20 games. I will not list them now. You can go check them out. That will be in the PS5's PlayStation Plus collection. They're all pretty damn good. Really, it was all killer, no filler. There were not a lot of stuff in there that was like, what? What's that game? No Man's Sky Series X and S and PS5 versions incoming with crossplay and 32-player multiplayer. That game is so tempting to get back into. I really can't. But man, there's only been really good news, I think, coming out of that camp. Really, really, really fun stuff. Especially this Halloween Huber, that like spooky update they added. I was like, can't do it. Did watch Ju-on the other night though. Oh, did finish it. Started
Nice.
it. I'll finish it tonight as the podcast is exporting. And Bloodworth, high five. Get it ready, Blood. We're on this side. We're on your left hand. The other way. You're going the other way. Yeah, that way. Get ready. Inverted controls added to Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Boom.
Woo.
They're celebrating, but you've got it backwards on in Mario 64. Because Mario 64's camera controls are backwards from what they should be. So it's right to people that want them inverted, but for people like me who don't, they're wrong.
Just get options, man. That's all I want. It's options.
So this is like how long it taken to do this? Yes. But what the heck?
That's what next
so
gen's going to be all
annoying in
about.
Mario 64, like 20 plus years of right C or right on the like it's backwards. I'm like, I hate you. Why this is a troll? Come on.
It is time for love and respect.
Love and respect.
From Cody S. Capturing a little bit of those spooky vibes. Sorry, people on Sunday. It is November 2nd. You're like, what? Halloween's over. It is Halloween this weekend, or the 1st, actually, when the month is just over. It is almost Halloween. This is when we're primed. This At least when I am primed for spooky stuff. Cody S. gave us a spooky question. Thank you, Cody. Hey, allies. I just want to start off by saying I really loved your 8-hour live stream and all the other videos you worked on for the patron party. It was an awesome time. So in honor of the spooky season, I found a list of the scariest games of all time, according to ranker.com. I will list 2 games from that list, and you tell me which ranked higher and whether or not you agree with the ranking. Love and respect, Cody. I'm less interested about what you think ranked higher on ranker.com. No offense, ranker.com. I'm more curious about, just personally, what the 3 of you think between these 2 games, these versus games. Which is scarier? Silent Hill versus Silent Hill 2.
Can't
Which is a scarier video game.
See, I've only seen
Two.
But I haven't
play through
really.
Silent Hill 2.
I'm not that familiar with one. So
Yeah, I haven't touched one.
We did 2 scariest games lists at Game Trailers for the old guard and the new guard before GameTrailers.com finally closed. 2 different scary lists. The Silent Hill swapped on those lists. When it was us, when it was 2nd gen, when it was late gen, we picked Silent Hill 2 being the better one. But Silent Hill 1, I think, was the scariest game on the scariest games list. Because there is just a gritty, like a rustiness to that first game that is just so... There's something... I don't know what they did, man, but those like rough polygon triangles of like people's hands and stuff, the spikiness of it, they used it. They were
Less
like,
polish
we're going to make it,
scarier.
the edges of those platforms you were walking on that would wiggle the way the PS1 textures did. It worked. Like it was... but according to ranker.com, it is not the scariest game. Silent Hill... Silent Hill 2 is the scariest game. Silent Hill 1 is right behind it at number 2. Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2, assuming the original versions.
One.
Scarier?
one.
Yeah.
Oh, the original RE1? I've never played the PS1
I mean, it's dated.
RE1.
It's aged.
The
The remake has basically just replaced it. But if it's remake, are we talking about original?
Original.
Not remake. I'm still gonna go with 1, man. 2 is like an action movie. 1 is a horror movie. It's like Alien versus Aliens. It's the classic.
I want to say 1. I want to say. I mean, I'm also thinking too much about the Ranker ranking. I think Ranker probably said 2 is scary.
Ranker disagrees. Yeah, RE2 is number 3 on their list, and RE1 is 4.
But man, cannot. RE1 can't handle the remake version, man. It's intense.
Yeah.
RE1, so bright. I took a vacation from RE1 for years, Huber, and then finally, once remake came out, I'm like, okay, let me go back and replay this. And I was like, every room has all the lights on. What's going on in this game? Yeah. So bright. Resident Evil 3 versus Silent Hill 3. Resident Evil
Silent Hill 3 is intense.
Versus Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 3 is intense. I didn't finish it. I played it though.
Silent Hill 3.
I'm embarrassed with my
Nemesis
knowledge of Silent Hill.
coming through some scary shit. Just gonna say that, man.
Yeah, if Nemesis
Jump
crashing through some
scares.
walls will get you.
Jump
Police station
scares.
jump scare. I'm still gonna say like Silent Hill every time for me is scarier, so I'm always gonna pick Silent
I
Hill.
think Silent Hill's most likely.
You're against the grain with Ranker every time. RE3 at number 6, Silent Hill 3 at number 7. I like these. They're all next to each other, though. These are all
Resident Evil 3
Wow.
is
so close.
so action packed.
Oh my gosh.
Outlast versus PT. I know what you think, Huber. Outlast versus PT.
Man. PT.
This is a tough question.
I'll go out.
People are gonna scoff at me. People are gonna no question say PT, which it probably is, but like when it came out, sure, but it's been so overplayed and it is still so limiting because it's just a demo. Like
Yeah.
a blind playthrough for both. PT is probably gonna keep you up at night, but on the other hand, Outlast has, to me, the best jump scares in all of video games. So it just depends on what you value your scares with.
Ranker values Outlast, number 5 on the list.
Wow.
Yeah, beating out Silent Hill 3 and Resident Evil 3. PT is number 17.
Wow.
Ranker,
Shocking.
Wow, Ranker having none of that.
get your shit together, Ranker.
Jeez. I think just because it's
Is this based
I
on
hate to
votes?
say it,
Like,
it's
We're
just
talking about
kinda-
underdogs. You say Outlast is the underdog. Look at this. Look at this
it
nonsense. over here,
hurts
Ranker.
to say. It really, really hurts to say. Don't think of me less, but it is. It's kind of in the downward now. Like give it like 5 or 10 more years, and I think PT will come back up in the scariness.
Sure.
It's just since it's come out every single year, it's like PT demo. We get it. Demo. It's like it's on timeout for me at least.
And these
for a little
next
bit.
3 couples are also right next to each other. They're button up. It was neck and neck between Dead Space and Alien Isolation. which is scary.
Alien
too.
Alien
Isolation.
Alien Isolation, dude. Unsettling
Oh my
There we go.
robots.
There we go. Ranker getting it. Alien Isolation at 9. Dead Space at 10.
Like,
Nothing wrong with Dead
it's so
Space.
funny because I don't remember Blood. You're the one playing it at Easy Living, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember you getting too terribly scared at that game, though.
It takes a while for
Takes a while.
that game
Takes a
to
long
really
time.
get into the alien stuff. Like, I think that was
Yeah.
the thing. Is like I was just starting to get into it at Easy Living.
Gotcha.
We've
Okay, I
actually,
was trying to remember where
this
you
has
left
come
off.
up this month when we've
Yeah.
been picking stuff to
Yeah.
play for our
Well,
marathon stream and our
yeah.
Halloween stream. We were like, oh, Isolation? And we always are like, no. It
That
comes up and
E-
then you remember it just doesn't stream well.
The E3 demo, whatever demo I played somewhere was just like scary enough, and man, it was hilarious because like last night I just watched Maximilian Dudes playing through it as well. And anytime he gets this, I love it, man. Whenever he gets to a point where he's actually scared, he goes, "This game fucking sucks, man." It's like I know that feeling.
And yeah.
It's like, goddamn alien, go away, leave me alone.
Huber and I disagree a bit on Isolation, but Huber, what they're, man, the tensest moments of my playthrough, how far I got in Isolation, are every
When
step
it's
is like,
creeping through the dark,
Yeah.
man.
every step is not good. Huber, I know, just more emotions that you're tied to these projects. Evil Within or Fear? The first Fear.
Oh, it's Evil Within.
They're right next
no
to each
question.
other. Evil Within wins at 12,
Nice.
Fear's at 13.
Nice.
And finally, Amnesia: The Dark Descent versus
Number-
Fatal
dude.
Frame. Fatal Frame won. I would have thought 2. Crimson Butterfly usually edges out of stuff.
Fatal Frame.
Amnesia, the first one to me is number 1 scary by far.
Fatal Frame beats it on Ranker.com for 15. Amnesia at 16. Just under PT. All these games people are considering. A lot of nostalgia I'm feeling from this list.
Yeah.
But it's fun to talk about these games.
PT, you'll get the nostalgia will come because so much time will pass. Like, again, 5 or 10 more years. PT, iconic.
More horror talk from Happy Gaming. Hey there, allies. I love horror, but my girlfriend absolutely does not. Don't get me wrong, she gets into the Halloween spirit just like I do, but is more into the fall vibes, the cozy seasonal stuff, which I love too. We just can't see eye to eye on getting her into the spookiness this season. This just means I'm usually flying solo for things like Outlast or The Shining. This is all well and good, but it's really tough to find movies and especially games that have Halloween coziness without the spookiness attached. Do you have any recommendations for non-scary games to play during the Halloween season? Love and respect, Brian from Happy Gaming. The other end of the
Cost-
spectrum.
Costume Quest,
1
Pumpkin
and 2.
Jack,
If you
Luigi's
haven't talked about Pumpkin
Mansion.
Jack, you get to play that?
Medieval. The new remaster of Medieval.
I
That's
played the
pretty fun.
first like 20 minutes of Pumpkin Jack. It's sweet.
Nice.
What was the co-op game? Hide and Shriek.
Majora's Mask.
Oh right.
Hide and Shriek
Majora's
is
Mask,
There you
dude. Yes. Yes, Damiani.
Zelda's definitely known for things that shouldn't be that scary being that scary. You know, just really things grabbing you and just weird sound effects and, yeah, Costume Quest 1 and 2
Bully
are-
the Halloween
Oh,
chapter, Jones.
The Luigi's Mansion. You brought that up
and
today.
the Halloween chapter of Bully's pretty quick. You can play 3 hours of Bully and you'll get there, and play through all of it. And Blood, I completely mentally blocked what you just said. Sorry.
Luigi's Mansion. Hubert
of
brought it
course.
up in
Yeah,
Syndrome this week. Yep.
All three
Really
of those.
good.
Tried to track down Zombies Ate My Neighbors. There was no. I think it's on Wii Virtual Console, but there's no like PC port of that or something. Or, it's a bummer.
Yeah,
Be
we've
fun.
got it on the Virtual Console.
Be funny if that was
Yeah.
on GOG or something else. But yeah, good picks. Thanks, gents.
There's also Life is Strange, one of the episodes, I think. The first game, Bloodworth. Maybe when you go to like the school party. Isn't it set during Halloween?
I don't remember.
I feel like it is. I feel like it is.
Don't recall.
It's like a Halloween party. Or Spider-Man, dude.
Oh, that's a little later though. That's about 60%
Yeah,
of the way
true,
through that
true, true.
campaign. But that,
True.
yeah, it's definitely a highlight.
Yeah.
From Nathaniel Howe. Dear these allies. I'm thinking about open world games. Oh, are you, Nathaniel? I'm just finishing up Ghost of Tsushima, and it's been fantastic overall. However, that's right, I moderate this podcast. Thank you very much. However, I saw the gameplay demonstration in the lead up to its release, and when they opened the map, I quickly noticed our best friend and took a big sigh. And it was our good old friend to open world games that either fills you with an enormous amount of dread or a sense of wonder and excitement. The question marks. My fear going into this game was that it would be filled with so many that it would turn me off playing, and as a result, the open world would burn out. Do question marks on the game map actually incentivize exploration, or simply give you a list of things to do? Love and respect, Nathaniel Howe, the Blue Mountains, Australia. Y'all know how I feel.
It really, really depends on the game. I thought Ghost of
Sure.
Tsushima did it so well. A lot of that is with navigation, the wind mechanic. You could seamlessly go to these checkmark things on the map, and you just didn't like. you didn't have to constantly open your map and check it, or you're not like staring at your mini map. You're still in the world running around. And I think that's huge for me because, traditionally some open world games, even like The Witcher, it's like it becomes so mechanical. It becomes just like open your map, click the waypoint, run over, do it. And I think not relying on a mini map just allowed me to immerse myself more in Ghost of Tsushima. So it was more relaxing. It was less stressful just without having to open up and do all that.
Yeah, I think it's good to have some kind of goals sometimes to point you in a direction, but I definitely don't like it when everything is on there.
Sure.
Assassin's Creed has been trying to mix it up with like, and like even giving people options. It's like, do you want to be more guided or less guided? And and so like when I did my Valhalla preview, it was like there was one point in the scenario where it's like, all right, he's hiding out, where these two rivers intersect, and so like then you've still got to like open up your map and look at it and figure out where the river names are and all of that, and it essentially is the same thing, but there's a little bit more. There's a little bit of a puzzle almost to it. Like there's a little bit more interaction on your part to be like, okay, I'm going to scout this out and figure this out. And I don't think that's the best example, but I definitely appreciate when I can run around the map and I can happen across something that has not been pointed out to me, and there's something really cool there, and especially if it leads into some kind of detective quest or something like that, and that kind of thing too. Like if you're trying to follow a trail of clues and they just like all pop up on your map as soon as you start, like what's the point of this?
Right.
You just give me breadcrumbs.
I really hope Cyberpunk does some awesome things that I have not really experienced with side quests. I hope that I hope they push that forward.
Yeah, I keep thinking of you've been in my head a lot of my time during Watch Dogs Legion, which I'm reviewing as soon as humanly possible this week. But the embargo is this week, and I think about you, Hubert, being Bloodworth was like, yeah, you take over these districts, and you're like, no, like just something that when you suggest an open world game, all I can think of is the other 8 times I have to do it. I don't mind that stuff. I love when that stuff gets added to my list. But it is fascinating because Blood, you're basically describing Breath of the Wild. Like to me, that was the big thing. Like all open world games were based on you go here, person tells you thing, you go do thing, you go back. Breath of the Wild's like go, just go. There's no like the preferred order is backwards, is you finding the thing and then finding who asked you to go there or whatever you need to do. And so it's interesting to see some people are just blatantly Genshining it and they're just copying that, but it's interesting to see open world games kind of try to learn how to apply that dynamic to the systems that they want to build.
Yeah, and I like the way Ghost did Fog of War world map. I think contextually it's really smart because the island got invaded and you're kind of like pushing back to go further and reveal more. So every time you do one of those check marks, it kind of reveals a little more. I will say there were a few too many fox dens, just a few too many of the same activity, but for the most part, really, really awesome. Man, it's just finding that sweet spot of like having a lot to do to distract you, but not too much.
When I look at those maps where you like change the color when you physically occupy the corner of the map, I gotta turn my brain off. I had to stop playing Ghost Recon. Not Wildlands. What was the name? Breakpoint.
Breakpoint.
I had to stop because I was just doing that. I was just driving boats around islands just to like make it all light gray. And like Hubert, I'll finish a burrow in Legion, and it'll do a zoom out, and they're like, you're done with the burrow, and there's just one street that's dark gray, and I'm like,
unacceptable.
Mark it, get in a motorcycle, drive over, just drive down the street. There's no achievement, there's no trophy, there's nothing.
Yeah,
just me being a madman.
Forza Horizon 4 will do that to you too, Jones, because it's like when you're driving around, like every road you're on, it will turn gray to white.
Oof. Really quick, I think this is very next-gen focused and very relevant to all of our interests. From Sean Dupree, all eyes on the Allies. Just a quick question. As the console generation winds down, I'm finding myself looking at my PS4 controller and realizing I only played one game which utilized the touchpad, Killzone. What are some games that use the touchpad in an interesting way? Thanks, Sean.
I don't know about interesting, but Ghost of Tsushima,
Ghost of
man.
Tsushima, the wind.
Yeah, wiping your sword off in the wind. 2 things right there. Like, done with a great duel. Boom. Wipe that sword off. Felt so good.
So
And yeah, that wind and stuff, like, that was really good.
I mean, this is a company specifically making a PlayStation product. You know, Hubert, did Naughty Dog do anything interesting this gen with that touchpad? They just skip it.
Yeah, I don't
remember Naughty Dog.
think
The one
so.
that comes to
I
mind
think
the
of
most.
Tearaway.
Yeah, Tearaway would have
Tearaway
definitely.
was awesome.
Yeah. But the Astrobot rescue mission in VR
Yeah.
with the shurikens,
Yeah.
like that felt really good. Yeah, I think more subtle things like that. I'm trying to remember what else there was. I do know some try to like have you slide around and draw or point.
Every
things
now
like
and then in
that.
dreams I use it because you can, if you have a 3D object, you can anywhere
Mm.
you just brush on there, it'll move that object. And every now and then it's like so close, I'll just be like, like there you go, nailed it. Whereas like D-pad would do like a big click, and like that's not, you know, just want to move it a little bit. Or it's just kind of fun to, if you're less setting up, you know, right angles everywhere, and you just kind of artistically want to move something and see it from all angles. It's kind of fun to do it that way. But yeah, as we talk about all sorts of fun innovations in controllers, it's important to look back at the last gen and see which ones they were touting, and we were like, look at that, because we love the Dualshock. I love it so much. But yeah, that is a thing certainly that.
Yeah,
Did
and
use
it's
a lot.
interesting that they kept it. They that touchpad's still there on the PS5.
Remember when Uncharted 1 came out and you had to throw grenades with the 6-axis?
Bail
Oh.
out.
I think they definitely patched it later. I don't know if I don't
just
think
saying,
I don't think you
remember
could change
playing
it
that
at
way.
launch. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
played
you
it
could
way
not at
later.
launch, no.
Yeah, you
so
could not.
I never had to deal with
Completely
that crap.
forgot. That's so funny. Thank you for that. Time for bets. Next week's bet, 2 days from now, is Halloween. On Halloween night, at 7 p.m. roughly, around the time we should record this podcast, 48 hours from now, I will go to twitch.tv. I will look up Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. How many different channels will be streaming this? Not what will the top stream be, not how many people will be watching it. How many different people will decide that's the way that they want to spend their Halloween night, is streaming Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. For reference, right before we recorded this podcast, I checked, and it was about 160, something around there. You got to count that manually. If anybody knows how not to count that manually, let me know. Next week, I'm going to be scrolling a lot and counting that.
Oh man.
What do you think, Huber? How many people? How many different channels?
345.
Nice, little boost. More than double, says Huber. Damiani, how many?
50.
Fifth, going down. People are playing Amnesia. Bloodworth, how many?
I'm saying 220. A little bump from today, but yeah, I don't think I'm too crazy.
Fascinating. 222 was my
Ooh.
Bloodworth.
Oh my gosh.
So, okay.
What?
All right. Around
Okay.
there, we want to try.
We're distant enough from Damiani.
Hoping
I think.
it just goes up. Yeah, if it goes up by 1, we got it. We secured that one, so good bet in there. But I also that Huber. I want it to be that. I want to win this bet, Huber, but I also want them to do well. And keep in mind, there could be 300 of those that are just one viewer. It's how many different channels are going to be checking that out. Last week's bet, Transformers Battlegrounds, launched on October 23rd. I wanted to know this week, where will Optimus Prime rank on
Oh
Google
my gosh,
Trends?
this bet.
Last week he was at 67. He was at 70 the week before that. Daniel Bloodworth bet 82. Brad Ellis bet 77. Michael Damiani bet 85. I unenthusiastically bet 68. Just one higher than he was previously. Let me refresh it right now. Checking the past 7 days worldwide. He is currently at 66. Optimus Prime, October 29th, 2020 at 9 p.m. He is at 60. Oh, wait. No, he's moving. No, he's at 66 now. Yeah. So that would be closest to me. Yeah, I win. Double check. Somebody please double check this. Some people were calling me suspect. Huber, the bet last week, would you get back up because you played
Yes.
Amnesia? How long until Amnesia till I heard dialogue? And they had the screen that was the equivalent of all this game contains scenes of explicit violence and gore.
Yeah.
Which I don't consider the game. You know, the game means a cutscene. The game means
right
like,
when you push start.
Right. Well, you press start, and then it says the following game contains scenes of explicit violence and gore.
What was our?
It was like
worldwide.
It was like wear headphones. Think this way. Here's how you should play this game.
That's
and,
to me
7 days.
and then there was a loading bar, and then it played. Because that loading bar is like, how long would that loading bar be different for me, for you, different console? You know, it's like, it's tough.
What were your settings again?
Some people called me out on it. Settings for.
What did we say the settings for Optimus Prime?
Worldwide last 7 days was what I looked at. Past 7 days worldwide.
I
Optimus
think
Prime,
when you,
the fictional character, not just the words Optimus Prime, but
And
specifically
then you were talking about right now or at 7 p.m.
at this moment at 9 p.m.
9
when we
p.m.
checked.
I'm seeing 60 right now.
Well, I still win
Still very low.
Sure,
at the low
Still
score.
Jones win.
but it's
Jones,
the
I think
same
when
thing
you,
where it does these peaks.
Yeah.
I think when you hit
Bloodworth trying to
play-
take the win away from his teammates, a really interesting twist in the drama of the
You
Easy
told
Allies
me to
betting
check.
saga.
The mole.
Just kidding. Huber, sorry, what?
I think when you click play, that's when the timer traditionally starts.
All right. If
But,
we win by 1 point this year, Huber, we
Yeah.
can hash it out. But I don't know if that's going to happen, even just with this win. Thank you for correcting the scores, Kevboard Arts. With my win brings us to Jovial Penguins 15. Astonished Scorpions 13. We're two away, man. That's we win the same bet. That's one bet. We can't win this next one that way, but so we're there. There have been some years we've dropped out of bets by this point, but we're
Yeah,
we,
making
we
it close.
actually,
Getting there.
we actually could,
Yeah.
Jones. It would just be really, really next to impossible.
That's why that
Making
win's
it
important to
close.
me. You know, in the comments,
Because-
on Patreon, on social media, let me know if I won that bet last week.
it would
I want
have
the- I
to
want
be
this to be legit.
221, and then we
Yeah.
would both win the bet.
Right.
Might have to consult the council on that
We're
one.
not winning
Yeah.
that. Oh yeah, we would win the bet if it was 221. We'd be equidistant. Yeah, or we'd have, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. These things are tough. The rules are tough. Let me tell you about patreon.com/easyallies. That's where you want to go if you would want to support the Easy Allies. Let me tell you, you're supporting the Easy Allies just by listening to this podcast. If you're listening to this podcast on a Sunday, if that's usually when you get the Easy Allies podcast, you can get this podcast 2 days earlier for $5 on our Patreon. You also get access to to this podcast by submitting things for Silver Lining, which we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, and questions, games, concerns, anything you want to let us know about your corner of the gaming world in Love and Respect, our weekly Q&A segment. Patreon.com/EasyAllies is where you can go. We had a patron party last week. A lot of fun stuff to check out. But that's where I'm going to end it. I also want to mention the shout out tier. 250 is our top tier at patreon.com/easyallies. We have 3 people that we love dearly at this tier, and we're going to shout them out right now. Blood, you're going first. I'm going after you, then Huber, then Damiani. That is the order. Are you ready? Huber, you can be close. You don't have to be louder if you're
my.
close. You get so
Huber.
close. Your proximity to the camera and microphone are giving me
It's
hives
alarming.
right now. Shout out to Caleb Toki Crawford, L. Fanis, and Greg the Dark Knight Kettering.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Out.
Thank you, Huber.
I had no idea where my placement was, so I just winged that one.
No, you nailed it. You were good.
Yes.
That's the thing. That's the thing about you, Huber. You never pay attention, but you always will. I don't know how it happens. You don't take notes, but you always show up where you need to be. You know.
Yep. I like that.
I started
I'll
the
go
Zoom
with that.
call for this podcast, and it's like, is Huber gonna? There he is.
Boom.
We'll see.
Keep you on your toes.
I get to promote any Easy Allies video I'd like to promote. I get the final word on anything I've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped into my head, and I get to sign off with my trademark sign off. What video would I like to promote? Hey, you know what? Bloodworth's worked really hard. He's worked really hard on Next Gen. He's worked really hard. I want to promote your unboxing, just all of your unboxing stuff, Blood. You've gone into the studio. I've completely distanced myself because I'm living in a rental and I got a small child and I'm reviewing Watch Dogs Legion. I was just like tiptoeing away from all of those scheduling notices that happened around that stuff. But you really went in, and of course, Damiani, you've been working very hard on that as well. But specifically those Bloodworth videos, get into those comments, support this man and his unboxing efforts. Unboxing something we don't really do that often. Damiani, you and I unboxed the Switch. I have fond memories of that in my garage. But
When Bloodworth said the horizontal, I've still been thinking about this comment from 2 hours ago. said it was wobbly. Yeah, the PS5 is wobbly when you.
I don't think that the PS5's not wobbly, but it's just like the base itself.
It's giving me anxiety, blood.
If you pick up the console with the base attached horizontally, it kind of flops a little bit. But when you put it down, it's solid. It's just weird to pick it up. Yeah.
The flopping.
Flopping.
PS5 flopping.
Seriously.
When you put it on the bottom, there's a screw, so you screw it in. But when you put it on the side, there's just this weird little clip. So.
What are the memes going to be, Huber, when these consoles finally come out? When people open their own boxes and we just miss these jokes. Damn it, we could have written that meme. We missed
My
it.
favorite of all time so far is the two movers moving the PS5 like it's a giant couch. It's so good.
Adam Boyes, shout out his Halloween costume is a PS5. He built it out of cardboard. It looks great. Final word. Look, I deal with this every year, and it's just something, that emotionally I have to deal with. And I just want to say out there for all the haters, it's fine if you don't like candy corn. It's fine, But it's just something about, what I don't like that's odd? You know what I don't like that's super strange? Pie. I'm just not a big pie fan. You got your blueberry pie, your apple pie. Yeah, it's weird. Cherry pie. It's just don't, You put your fork in this breaded thing, and all this weird fruit juice comes back, bubbling, and it's just some parts of it are cold, some parts of it are hot. I don't know. I've had good pies before, but I'm just not a big pie fan. Do I rant about pies? Do you hear me all the time on Cup of Jones and the podcast going on and on about how much I hate pies? No, man. You like pie? Go eat pie right now. You deserve pie in 2020. You go out there and you make yourself happy. For some reason, me liking candy corn is wronged, like the world. Like people are like, no. The fact is that candy corn's bad. There are no facts things are good or bad. You eat whatever barbecue sauce you want to eat. You eat whatever pie you want to eat. If you like candy corn,
pineapple on pizza.
If you like candy corn,
these crazy food debates, yeah.
Please, that's a whole nother. I got to win one more bet, and then we can talk about pineapple on pizza. Have a happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy your candy corn. Cheers.
Was it Bowser's? Oh my gosh.
Big blast.
You need to wait to announce your date.
The Easy Allies would like to thank our Patreon podcast producers. We apologize in advance for all the ally names we are about to misspell and mispronounce. Caleb Togi Crawford, L. Thanis, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Walker Hope, Nick, Mark Dalga, Will Schmuck, Sigma, Robert Stoffel, Zachary Wingate, Thomas Wigginton Jr., Dave Red, Paulo Costabel, Discarded Digit, Ali Cat, Damnable Nook, Jay Shee, Happy Gaming, Miguel Rivas, Valmar, Blue Water Blue Sky, Daniel Portillo, Jose Gutierrez, Alex AI, Rob Bob Will, Beaten Down Brian, Chum Nguyen, Roy Sung, Lakota 1010, Yasser Kerbushi, Jeff ZOVGM Easton, Bradley Spees, Hayden Hargraves, G. Levin, Matthew Pauling, G. Ken, Gary James, The Banana Forklift Killer, Marcel Markov, Catherine Lai, Todd Yurkovic, Candy Coated Thorns, Hitman 47, Rack, DRD 7 of 14, Matthew Holmes, Oni Blackmage, Niz Klojgard, Jesper Lawson, Jordan Kirk, James Vitt, Sam Handrick, Stephen Thomason, Robert Crouch, Luke Bennett, Andy Drew, John Burns, S-Snake24, Mango, Richard Johnston, Mark J. Betters II, Adam Henry, Brad Grenz, Andrew Stoke, Jake Musser, Eric Crone, Jesse Blue, Jan Tyson, Danny Vlar, Christopher Santos, Strikeout NZ, David Boyarski, Faraz Rizvi, Pete Shoemaker, Reed Johnson, Manuel Thomas, Michelle Nubb, Mikey Mizek Novak, Alex Monaco, Paul Bishop, Marco Hernandez, Daniel Wong, V. Kira Ray, Don Turner, Sebastian Urban, Eddie Reisner, Sebastian Trier, Adam Sharonbrock, Evan Eng, Azazel Valkyrie, Junya Motomura, Ivan Ponce, Tuttle, Bjarnar Haraldsvik, Egg Stravaganza, Joshua Vanswall, Tense George, Colin Hoylman, Barry, Cyberboa, Forrest, Eric Maynard, Chase Caldwell, Isun Chor, Leon Keys, Chris the Pianist, Ian Anderson, Philip Higdon, Nycrypt, Jai Aldiar, Robert I, C.S. Lewis, Ahmed Al-Rashed, Bonnie and Jason Connor, Travis Miosi, Mike Calvey, Alex Glass, The Fatty Show, DanPan16, Wouter DeHaze, Malcolm Moschette, William Heaney, Not Jack, Mithers Strongbeard, Jana, Anthony Galvin, V8 Dave, Oro Gacchino, Dakota Hayes, The Classiest Hobo, Misuki211, Matt Karwoski, Liam Ahern, Bunny Chen, Materia Addict, Arthur Henrique Chenaglia, Culinary Stud, Magnus Rasmussen, Edison S. Prada Jr., Tim Mann, Toad Shadow, Crediar, Mauricio Fuentes, Jesse Fish, Gabriel Aberg, Zahid Hosseini Karami, Luis Ibarra, Lee Young, Alexander Zirianov, Morpheus, Christian Hundorf, Brian Foster, Sean Cornett, Linson Wu, General Piet, Matthew Migler, Brandon White, Christophe Fatui, Michael Clendenan, Wen Boshan, Hadi Ali, Aurelien Grenier, Eric Gustafson, Trevor Thomas, Michael Kozachenko, Adam Lindsay, Corey Landega, Pablo Rodriguez, Alec Church, Ibrahim Sozer, Carl Williams, Gustav Strombaum, Volker Bach, Russell Bateman, Lindsay Wells, Jason I, Nefertiti Jenkins, Kyle Quintero, Jesse Vitelli, Jonathan and Amy Alconis, Quinn Riley, JC3, Paul Nolson, Isaac Swanson, Jameson Lapine, Max His Shame Turman, Jethrin, Bread Roll Art, Matt Ford, Joey Din, Splontot, Jordan Phillips, Ryan Wagner, Matthias Clare, Spencer Stevens, Jeffrey Murillo, Trizac, Matt Ferguson, Sam Sorensen, Vincent Foliot, Paul Sway, Michael Baloney, Andy Marks, Tim Strothman, XWF Outlaw, Julius Garcia, Alex Lavanier, Ritz 1906, Joel Short, Dimitri Zetas, Mazrim Tain, Helen Y, Noah Weinstein, Jameson Anderson, Travis Gakowski, Megadet, Sneaky Gato, Blake Bonsack, W. Crusher, Line Crown 19, Tom Masterman, Jojo Denko, ZK, Jose Carlos Madrigal, Mr. Anarchy, Thomas Blaze Fauchereau, Andreas Risberg, Dreams of Caffeine, Michael Bisegli, Matthew Holmes, Alexander McEachern, Great, Lars Berger, Marcel Giru 17 Froelich, Erdney Kutenow, Megan McDonough, Glenn Olson, Corey Jackson, Natabia Ross, Allison Burt, Ryan Anderson, Jesse Wilkeson, Katie Garza, Jeffrey Ruchtenwald, Dan Sebring, James Davey, Neil Bruce, Silent Consonant, Craig Happ, Travis Ing, Cody Westley, Cisco Ace Jackson Garcia, Kroldemort, Jeremy Ferris, Clay Roberts, Super 3D Cow, Ahab, Mick Roper, Accounts Payable, Tristan Howard, John Gallagher, Willow Pingree, Andrew Reif, Mikhail Aniel, Blue, Matthew Eden, A Filthy Lot, Neuromood, Mike Hook 1, Miguel, Retroid Vaniac, Delisi, Matthew T. Ryan, Ethereal Ether, Mo Grant, Ulf himself, Roy Eschke, Nick Waterman, Fishflop, David Wilson, Maverick Lee Back, David Wen, Tim O'Keefe, John Roberson.